Kaixing's broadsword is already in motion, and Yang Chen's flame slash cuts straight through the air between them. But when the spiritual sense closes in like a storm, retreat is no longer an option. Leave a like and subscribe before the next clash decides everything. Another world, what do you mean, teacher? Fei Mao was puzzled. Meanwhile, Yun Lintian had no reaction. After all, he was someone from another world himself. His existence had already proven there were other worlds. Tai Shan recollected his memories for a moment and said calmly, "In order to break through to the next realm, my ancestor had never given up searching for the heaven and earth fire, even though he knew the chance to find one was almost close to zero. He wandered to every corner of this world and left some of his legacies behind to the people worthy of his trust." He paused for a moment and caressed the white dragon spear before continuing. The old monarch Zhang of the Thunder City should be one of them. Listening to this point, Yun Lintian wondered what would happen to Zhang Yuhuang after returning to her clan. After all, she had given away the treasure that her ancestor had been protected for several decades. Tai Shan's face changed slightly, and a trace of hatred could be seen in the depth of his eyes as he said further, "One day, a group of greedy people had tracked my ancestor down and forced him to hand over everything he had. They went far to the point they wanted my ancestor to work for them as a slave. Of course, a prideful person as my ancestor would never succumb to them. He fought his way out and managed to escape. However, even though he had escaped, his injuries were too severe and he was on the verge of dying. When he thought he was about to leave this world forever, a miracle happened. He discovered that the volcano beneath his feet actually had the heaven and earth fire he yearned for. Without hesitation, he mustered the last bit of his strength to send himself into the heaven and earth fire. Upon he was contacted with the fire, his injuries began to heal at the fastest speed. At the same time, he could feel his vitality increase tremendously. It was as though he had turned young once again. As he was in the state of ecstasy, he didn't notice that there was a person besides him in the fire. This person was a woman, a peerless woman. She said to my ancestor that he didn't belong to this world and she would help him leave this world, but he had to give up the heaven and earth fire. At that time, my ancestor believed her right away. He described that he had no way to resist this woman even if he wanted to. She was the most powerful person he had ever seen in his life. In exchange, she would give him the divine rank forging profound art and arranged a place for him to stay. That place was the Sky Throne Profound Academy that was just founded by Lord Sky Throne at that time. Tai Shan spoke to this point. He sighed and continued with a sad face. My ancestor lived for a few years and gave birth to our Tai clan. He passed his legacy down and told us to pass it to anyone we recognized as a disciple. One day, he suddenly disappeared from this world without telling anyone. We didn't know exactly where did he go to, but we had guessed that he should go to another world as he often mentioned it before. A peerless woman again. Yun Lintian's brows involuntarily knitted together. He vaguely felt a connection between this woman in Tai Mushin's story and the one Yan Qi said. He looked at Tai Shan and asked, "Teacher, may I know which year did all of this happen?" Tai Shan turned to look at Yun Lintian strangely as he replied, 3,000 years ago. I hadn't been born yet. Everything I told you earlier is coming from my father. 3,000 years. Yun Lintian was certain now everything was connected together. Before founding the Sky Throne Profound Academy, Lord Sky Throne had encountered the woman. Tai Mushin and Yan Qi were also the same. They had met the woman and their fates were changed by her. She seemed to do all of this with a specific goal in her mind. What is that goal? Yun Lintian first thought she had prepared the son for the chosen one then. What was the reason for helping Lord Sky Throne establish the academy and helping Tai Mushin? Teacher, if there's another world like you said, wouldn't Azure Palace tell everyone already? Fei Mao asked in confusion. To him, Azure Palace stood for the righteous world's controller. If there was such top-level information, they should have announced it to the public by now. Yun Lintian shook his head. You are too naive, Fei Mao. Do you know what's another world means to them? Seeing Fei Mao shake his head, Yun Lintian asked further. What is the most important thing for the practitioner? Fei Mao thought for a moment and answered uncertainly. Power? Yun Lintian shook his head. No, the most important thing for them is lifespan. No matter how powerful you are, you can't escape from death. The existence of another world means an opportunity to extend their lifespan. Do you think Azure Palace would tell everyone about it? Isn't it better to keep it to themselves? Fei Mao immediately understood. However, he still had the impression that Azure Palace was a righteous good guy. He said, but Azure Palace shouldn't be selfish like that, right? Yun Lintian rolled his eyes. I really don't know how did you survive until now with this naive mindset. Fei Mao felt wronged and did not know what to say anymore. At this moment, Tai Shan interjected. What Student Yun said is correct. Student Fei, do you know which faction of those people that hunted my ancestor belonged to? Without waiting for Fei Mao to reply, he continued. They belong to the Forge Master faction within the Azure Palace. What? Fei Mao exclaimed in disbelief. How could they do that? Fei Mao uttered in incredulity. As a descendant of the Forge Master family, Fei Mao was familiar with the Forge Master faction of the Azure Palace. It was his and countless young Forge Masters' dream destination. He felt it was too unbelievable they had actually done that to Tai Mushin. Sometimes, what you see is not the truth, but a facade they made for you to see. There are many things in this world you cannot see with your naked eyes, Tai Shan said calmly. Fei Mao felt it difficult to accept this sudden truth, but he believed Tai Shan had no reason to deceive him. He didn't know what to say and could only remain silent. Teacher Tai, are you the only one left in your clan? Yun Lintian suddenly asked. Tai Shan nodded his head slowly. That's right. Since my brothers and sisters died a long time ago, I have been devoted myself to teaching a new generation of Forge Masters here. I don't plan to have a descendant. Yun Lintian could feel a trace of hatred in Tai Shan's voice. It seemed his siblings hadn't passed away in a natural way. As for who was the culprit, Yun Lintian didn't have to use his brain to figure out. It was naturally the old enemy, the Forge Master faction of the Azure Palace. Silence blanketed the three of them. No one spoke any word further as they fell into their own thoughts. Although Yun Lintian had many questions in his mind, he understood it was inappropriate to ask Tai Shan at the moment. Hence, he decided to come back later. At this moment, Tai Shan stroked the white dragon's spear and asked, "Do you want to fix this spear?" Yun Lintian nodded his head firmly. "This white dragon spear is perfect for me. If it's possible, I don't want to change it." Tai Shan stared into Yun Lintian's eyes for a while before saying, "Very well, you can leave it to me." Yun Lintian didn't ask anything and decided to leave the spear to Tai Shan. "Thank you, Teacher Tai." Tai Shan waved his hand. "You and this spear belong to each other. As a Forge Master, it is my honor to do this." Yun Lintian didn't quite understand Tai Shan's first sentence, but he still nodded and expressed his gratitude before leaving the room with the dazed Fei Mao. On the way out of the building, Yun Lintian asked, "What, still don't believe it?" Fei Mao shook his head. "It's not that I don't believe, but I have dreamed of entering the Azure Palace's Forge Master faction since I was young. It is so hard to make myself believe it." Yun Lintian patted Fei Mao's shoulder and said with a smile, "Why do you want to join others when you can create a faction yourself?" Fei Mao was taken aback and said, "Me? Create a faction?" He shook his head vigorously. "Impossible. You haven't tried it yet. How do you know it is impossible? You see, Teacher Tai is here. How many people out there do you think they could have such a good opportunity to learn from the descendant of the legendary figure Tai Mushin? If you didn't believe in yourself, at least you should believe in Teacher Tai's teaching, right?" Yun Lintian said encouragingly. Fei Mao was stunned on the spot as he suddenly felt what Yun Lintian said was making sense. That was right. Many people didn't even have a chance to get a glimpse of Tai Mushin's legacy treasure in their lifetimes. Yet he could meet Tai Mushin's descendant here and even receive his teaching. What else did he need to make himself confident? Fei Mao clenched his fists tightly, his eyes filled with determination. "I understand now, Brother Yun. One day I will definitely become a legend." "Good." Yun Lintian gave Fei Mao a thumb up. "But before that, can you take your foot away first? You are stepping on my foot right now." Fei Mao glanced downward and saw he had stepped on Yun Lintian's foot. He hurriedly retracted his foot back and said with embarrassment, "Sorry, Brother Yun." Yun Lintian chuckled and walked out of the building with Fei Mao. Upon the two stepping out of the building entrance, Yun Lintian suddenly saw Lan Shuying looking left and right, as if she was searching for something. "Sister Lan," Yun Lintian called out. Lan Shuying turned around and her eyes immediately lit up. "You are here, Brother Yun. Hurry up, something happened to Brother Yang." Yun Lintian walked toward Lan Shuying and asked in puzzlement. "What happened? I'll tell you along the way. Let's go to see him first," Lan Shuying said anxiously. Yun Lintian nodded and turned to Fei Mao. He handed a transmission jade to the latter and said, "This is my personal transmission channel. You can contact me if you need help. I'll leave first." Fei Mao received the transmission jade and said, "Understood, Brother Yun." Yun Lintian said nothing further and left hurriedly with Lan Shuying toward the Starry Mountain. "Can you tell me now?" Along the way, Yun Lintian asked. Brother Yang went to challenge the Flame Bridge and he was suffered serious injuries in the end. Now his condition is not good. "Master Hong sent us to find you here. Where is your transmission jade? We can't contact you," Lan Shuying explained. "Really?" Yun Lintian frowned and looked for the transmission jade on his body. He then found that there were several messages left behind. "Sorry, I didn't notice it." Perhaps Yun Lintian was too engrossed in Tai Shan's narration and completely ignored the transmission signal. Why did he go there? "Isn't Sister Kai said he needs to reach the ruler profound realm first?" Yun Lintian asked while complaining in his heart. Yang Chen was worthy of having a protagonist-like name. He was too eager to get the result without thinking. Lan Shuiying shrugged her shoulders. He didn't listen to anyone. 20 minutes later, Yun Lintian and Lan Shuiying had arrived at the Starry Mountain and headed straight to Hong Wuya's residence. When Yun Lintian walked into the room, he immediately saw Yang Chen lying on the bed with burning wounds all over his body. Whether it was his face, legs, or arms, everything had turned charcoal black, and blood could be seen leaking out through the wounds' cracks. Yang Chen's current appearance was too horrible beyond words. Yun Lintian said nothing and went to Yang Chen's side. He opened Eyes of Heaven and discovered a strange raging fire was rampaging within his body. This fire seemed to possess consciousness as it kept attacking Yang Chen's vital points. What the hell is going on? Yun Lintian turned around to ask Kai Ziwen and Hong Wuya. He has been infected by the devil fire. A rare solemn appeared on Hong Wuya's face as he spoke. The devil fire is a unique fire that exists in the legend. I don't know how did it appear here in the Flame Bridge. I have already notified Principal Tian about it. Devil fire? Yun Lintian's brows knitted together. He had never heard about it before. However, since he had suspected this flame bridge being the Devil Flame Bridge, Yun Lintian didn't feel anything strange about it now. No one has encountered it before? Yun Lintian asked. Hong Wuya shook his head. I had never heard anyone encounter it before. He took a deep look at Yang Chen and continued. Maybe he has reached the other side of the bridge. Seeing Yun Lintian frown deeper, Kai Ziwen took this chance to explain. In the Flame Bridge training ground, there is a long bridge filled with terrifying fires on both sides. The challenger has to cross the bridge in order to clear it. However, no one has ever reached the other side before until now. Yun Lintian fell into contemplation. Perhaps it was as Hong Wuya said, Yang Chen probably managed to reach the end of the bridge and encountered something. After all, he possessed the Sun Overlord profound vein. Fire could not harm him much. Yun Lintian put these thoughts aside first and focused on Yang Chen's body. Since he had no idea how to deal with this devil fire, he could only try it with a general method first. Yun Lintian flicked his hands slightly, and a few silver needles immediately pierced into Yang Chen's soul, heart, and heaven gate, protecting them from the devil fire's attacks. He then limited the devil fire's movement by using silver needles mixed with water attribute energy. Unfortunately, the devil fire seemed to treat Yun Lintian's water attribute energy as nothing. It could not hinder the devil fire in the slightest. On the contrary, it made the devil fire more violent and move around faster than before. Seeing this, Yun Lintian's face changed slightly, and he hurriedly tried to use his lightning attribute energy to fight with it. Surprisingly, the devil fire had slowed down almost an instant and started to struggle under the lightning cage. However, Yun Lintian knew this move could temporarily restrict the devil fire. If he wanted to get rid of it, he still needed vital water attribute energy. His mind spun rapidly, thinking of a solution. Suddenly, he turned to Hong Wuya and said, Senior Hong, I'll have to trouble you to contact Palace Master Han. If she's not available, you can contact her disciple, Lin Ziniao. Hong Wuya nodded readily, and his figure vanished from the room afterward. During this time, Yun Lintian tried his best to stabilize Yang Chen's injuries. No matter how hard he tried, Yang Chen's wounds could not recover in the slightest because of the devil fire's existence. A few minutes later, Hong Wuya appeared in the room with Lin Ziniao and Mumu. I have brought her here, Hong Wuya said. Lin Ziniao glanced at Yang Chen and turned to stare at Yun Lintian. She didn't know why Yun Lintian needed her here, but she could guess it should be related to Yang Chen's injuries. Miss Lin, please come here. I need you to inject your ice attribute energy according to my guidance. Yun Lintian, who was now sweating profusely, beckoned Lin Ziniao. Lin Ziniao said nothing and walked to Yun Lintian's side. Her body language was evident. She was ready to take action at any time. Yun Lintian quickly told Lin Ziniao to inject her profound energy and guided it to surround the devil fire. The result was, as Yun Lintian had expected, the devil fire was thoroughly restricted by Lin Ziniao's powerful ice attribute energy around Yang Chen's chest area, unable to break out of the circle. I'll force it out now. Senior Hong, please prepare to capture it, Yun Lintian said solemnly. Hong Wuya's face turned serious, and he started to mobilize his profound energy, preparing to capture the devil fire. Yun Lintian held an extensive silver needle in his hand. He took a deep breath to calm himself down. His eyes were fixated on the violent devil fire attentively for a while before piercing the needle right through it. At the same time, he quickly injected his lightning attribute energy down, along with the silver needle. The devil fire immediately struggled hard, but it could not do anything against the combination of Yun Lintian and Lin Ziniao's power. Seeing the devil fire become weaker, Yun Lintian didn't hesitate to use another hand to burst Yang Chen's chest open and force the devil fire out. Instantly, a black fire that had an appearance like a Western fantasy devil creature with 2 long horns and wings appeared before everyone's sight. At this moment, Hong Wuya swiftly waved his hand and entirely confined this devil fire, leaving it no way to escape. Roar, the devil fire struggled to break the confinement, but it was futile. A moment later, it suddenly stopped its action and let out an angry roar. Its roar was akin to a scream of an abyss creature in a horror movie. The pitch was extraordinarily high and hoarse, making everyone present feel their heads were about to burst. Fire suddenly turned to young Lintian and screamed at him, "You've ruined my plan." Everyone's expression was changed drastically. They didn't expect this fire to actually have consciousness. "Who are you?" Yun Lintian stared at the devil fire attentively as though he were studying it. To him, it wasn't a surprise at all to see the devil fire talking. He had read a ton of novels about this kind of plot before. Perhaps this devil fire was a part of an old monster who got imprisoned in the bridge. "Me, hehe, you lowly creature doesn't deserve to know my name," the devil fire said disdainfully. "However, you are quite interesting. I had never seen any lowly creature with a powerful fire source like you before. Hehe, you must be delicious than this trash." Hearing this, Yun Lintian smiled coldly and said, "Senior Hong, just kill it. No need to waste our salivas further." The devil fire laughed mockingly. "Kill me? Hess, this is just a tiny part of my power. Come to see me at the Devil Flame Bridge if you have the gut. I'll let you know what's the real hell." "Are you stupid? Do you think I would go there? No wonder you have been imprisoned in that place. It turns out you are this stupid." Yun Lintian chuckled, HMPH. "If it wasn't because that trash launched a sneak attack on me, I wouldn't have become like this." The devil fire snorted angrily. That trash, so he was imprisoned by someone for real, Yun Lintian thought. He didn't expect this devil fire would be so stupid to reveal its situation like this. Defeat is defeat. You don't have to come up with this lame excuse. Whether that person did as you said or not, you are the one who ended up losing. That's the final result. Yun Lintian responded with a mocking smile. The devil fire surprisingly went silent, but it glared at Yun Lintian as though he wanted to eat him alive. In the next moment, its figure suddenly swayed slightly and started to dissipate. Hong Wuya's face changed slightly, and he hurriedly clenched his palm, trying to destroy the devil fire. However, Hong Wuya's action was a split second late. The devil fire had dissipated entirely before he could destroy it. "Don't let me see you again, you lowly creature. I will make you pay the price for ruining my plan." The devil fire's voice echoed in everyone's mind before it had gone entirely. Yun Lintian and others quickly used their spiritual senses to find the devil fire's trace, but nothing could be found in the end. "What is that thing?" Lan Shuiying couldn't help asking. She had never seen something like this before in her life. Hong Wuya frowned slightly as he explained. According to the legend, there was a creature called Devil born alongside humans. Similar to human practitioners, these devils had also possessed various powers. This devil fire is one of them. Its ability to control fire is no less than the first-generation Blazing Sun Palace Master that was known as the most powerful fire attribute practitioner. Hong Wuya paused briefly and added, "As far as I know, these devils had long ceased to exist more than 10,000 years ago. How could it appear here? I must inform Principal Tian." Yun Lintian's brows creased together involuntarily upon listening to Hong Wuya's narration. If the devil fire was powerful, as Hong Wuya said, why did Yan Qi tell Yang Chen to go there? There must be a reason for this. Yun Lintian put these thoughts aside and started to treat Yang Chen's injuries. Perhaps Yang Chen could give him an explanation. An hour later, Yang Chen's wounds had improved, but he still needed at least a month to recover fully. Phew, Yun Lintian let out a long breath of tiredness and turned to Lin Xiniao. "Thank you for helping us." Lin Xiniao said nothing and kept staring at Yun Lintian. No one knew what she was thinking under that veil. Yun Lintian was puzzled slightly, but he was too tired to ask. He turned to Hong Wuya and said, "I'll go back first, Senior. Yang Chen should be able to recover soon. If there's anything out of the ordinary, please inform me immediately." Hong Wuya waved his hand dismissively. "Don't worry." Yun Lintian exchanged a few words with Kai Zuwen and Lan Shuiying before leaving the Starry Mountain with Lin Xiniao. Yun Lintian and Lin Xiniao remained silent throughout the journey to Moonlight Peak. However, before the two could climb the mountain, Lin Xiniao suddenly stopped her tracks and said, "Can you help me?" Yun Lintian was taken aback slightly by the sudden request. He looked at her carefully and didn't see any abnormality in her body. He asked curiously, "What do you want me to help with? Can you treat my aunt?" Lin Xiniao said softly. Her eyes were full of expectation. "Your aunt? You mean Master Lin?" Yun Lintian frowned slightly. He hadn't checked on Lin Zixuan before and had no clue about her condition. He only knew that she was crippled. Lin Xiniao nodded. "She has been torturing by a powerful seal and it's gnawing her vitality away every second." A seal? Why don't you tell me how she has become like this first? Yun Lintian responded. He had always been curious about Lin Zixuan's incident for a while now. Lin Ziniao hesitated for a while and said, "Sorry, I cannot tell you about it, because if you know, your life will be in danger. But if I successfully treated her, wouldn't I also be in danger?" Yun Lintian felt it was funny. Lin Ziniao shook her head. "It's different." Seeing she didn't want to tell him about it, Yun Lintian didn't press further and said, "All right, I will take a look at her first. Although my medical skills are good, the seal art is entirely different." It was true that Yun Lintian had studied about the seal art before. He wasn't confident dealing with the seal in Lin Zixuan's body. To seal the peak of the monarch profound realm like Lin Zixuan, this seal should be an extremely high-level one, and perhaps beyond Yun Lintian's ability. Lin Ziniao replied sincerely, "Thank you." Yun Lintian waved his hand. "Don't say it too early. I don't even know whether I can help Master. Let's go back first." "I'll look for Master tomorrow." Lin Ziniao said nothing further and headed toward Lin Zixuan's bamboo hut, while Yun Lintian returned to his newly built bamboo house. When he arrived at his house, Linlin immediately ran out of the house and threw herself into Yun Lintian's arms. "What's wrong, Linlin?" Yun Lintian asked softly. Today he didn't bring Linlin with him because she was too eye-catching and people would recognize him. "Can you bring Linlin with you tomorrow, big brother Yun? Linlin doesn't want to stay here alone." Linlin raised her head and said in a pleading tone. Seeing her pitiful look, Yun Lintian felt guilty and quickly promised her, "Sure. Big brother won't leave Linlin alone again." Linlin was satisfied with his answer and buried her head against Yun Lintian's chest. Yun Lintian entered his house and placed Linlin on the bed before activating the isolation formation. He planned to visit the land of beyond heaven today to check on the situation of the children. At the same time, he wanted to read more about the seal art before seeing Lin Zixuan tomorrow. To prevent the unexpected visit from his senior sisters, Yun Lintian went to greet Murongzu and told her he was going to practice before returning to his house and entered the land of beyond heaven with Linlin. As he stepped into the land of beyond heaven, Yun Lintian immediately saw several children chatting happily beside the lake. Compared to the last time he saw them, they had become more lively now. Yun Lintian glanced around and noticed the heavenly sandalwood and serene bamboo forest were fully recovered now. Their current appearances had returned to the time when Yun Lintian first came to this place. On the fertile land, various spirit crops could be seen arranged neatly, and there were a lot of cows walking on grassland. This scenery gave Yun Lintian peace of mind just by looking at it. Headmaster Kang Zio happened to walk out of the cafeteria nearby and saw Yun Lintian. She hurriedly came forward and greeted. Yun Lintian nodded his head slightly. "Thank you for taking care of them." "This is nothing, Headmaster. I love taking care of children." Kang Zio smiled warmly. "How are they?" Yun Lintian asked. "They've adapted to the life here now. However, some of them still have trauma." Kang Zio replied. Yun Lintian sighed and said, "Time will heal them. Go ahead, do your things." Kang Zio nodded and walked toward the group of children while Yun Lintian went straight to the villa. "Lintian, why are you here?" Yun Huixin turned her head to look at Yun Lintian, who had just walked into the living room. "I'm here to get some books." Yun Lintian glanced at the movie displayed on the television and asked, "Do you want to go out?" Seeing Yun Huixin keep watching the movie every time he met her, Yun Lintian thought she was probably bored staying here all the time. Surprisingly, Yun Huixin shook her head. "I'm not strong enough. It is useless for me to go out." Currently, her strength had already reached the first level of the Earth Profound Realm. Thanked for the unlimited high-grade magical plants and spirit crops in this place. "All right, you can tell me whenever you want to go out." Yun Lintian smiled and went to the library afterward. "Welcome back, Master." Lin's voice immediately rang out as Yun Lintian appeared in the library. "It's been a while, Lin," Yun Lintian responded. He sat down on the chair behind the counter and said, "Please help me find a high-level seal art book." "Yes, Master." Lin readily accepted the task, and a name list soon appeared on the nearby screen. Yun Lintian glanced at it and went to pick up a book called Universal Seal Art. Skimming through the book for a while, Yun Lintian discovered this book contained 1,000,000 of various seal characteristics, as well as an unseal method. He believed the seal on Lin Zixuan's body was definitely be in this book. "I'll take this book out," Yun Lintian said and put the book into his interspatial ring. "Understood, Master," Lin responded. "Well, I'll leave now." Since there was nothing to do further, Yun Lintian stood up and left the library directly. He passed by the living room and exchanged a few words with Yun Huixin before seeing Yun Ruiniu and Yun Qingru. After telling them about the academy's situation, Yun Lintian left the land of beyond heaven with Linlin. The moment he appeared in his house, Yun Lintian immediately perceived the presence of someone standing on the outside. When he opened the door, Yun Lintian saw Lin Zixuan standing there, looking at the stream as if she was thinking of something. Why are you here, master? Yun Lintian asked in puzzlement. Lin Zixuan turned around and said, I heard you've encountered the devil. Yes, master, Yun Lintian replied. Lin Zixuan went silent for a while before saying, something is going to happen soon. You have to prepare yourself for the worst. Yun Lintian was confused. What is going to happen? Can you tell me about it, master? Calamity. It's the calamity that this world cannot avoid. Wait until you return from the frozen moon mythical realm first, and I'll tell you everything about it again. Lin Zixuan said calmly. Calamity? Yun Lintian frowned slightly. He felt too many things were going on lately, and he couldn't grab a hold on to any information. Why everyone has to hide everything from me? Yun Lintian put this matter aside and said to Lin Zixuan, right, master. Can you let me see your condition? Perhaps I can help you regain your power. Lin Zixuan's brows moved slightly. She seemed to think of something and then shook her head. You don't have to help me. I am fine with it. How could it be, master? You don't want to get your power back? Yun Lintian asked with a frown on his face. Of course I do. A sneer appeared on Lin Zixuan's face. However, if I truly regained my strength, it would upset someone and all of you might face his wrath. Someone? Are you talking about Patriarch Lin, master? Yun Lintian probed. Lin Zixuan shook her head. It's not him, but someone more powerful than him. Yun Lintian's eyebrows creased together upon hearing this. In his opinion, Lin Hai already stood at the peak of the monarch profound realm. There was actually someone more powerful than him. Surely this person is not someone from the northern continent. The more he thought, the more curious he became. Yun Lintian secretly opened eyes of heaven and looked at Lin Zixuan's body. His face immediately turned unsightly when he saw her current condition. In the middle of her body, a terrifyingly ancient-looking seal could be seen sucking Lin Zixuan's vitality bit by bit. It had an appearance of a small circular plate with an ancient rune on it. Countless ugly roots were spreading out from it, reaching every corner of her body like a giant spider web. Yun Lintian swore he had never seen something horribly disgusting like this before. Yun Lintian quickly searched for the information in his head, but he couldn't recall anything about this terrifying seal. He had to look at the universal seal art later. Have you seen it? Lin Zixuan suddenly asked. Yun Lintian retracted his gaze and took a deep breath. He said solemnly, Master, are you sure you don't want to get rid of it? Judging from Lin Zixuan's remaining vitality, she could live for 3 years at best. Lin Zixuan went silent. She stood there motionless like a wooden statue. Master. I don't know who the enemy is, but I believe Senior Sisters and Miss Lin are not afraid of him. We are willing to take risks instead of seeing you leave this world like that, Yun Lintian said with a serious expression. Whoosh. All of a sudden, Jiang Yingyu, Murongzhu, Nanshan Fengyu, and Lin Ziniao appeared before Lin Zixuan one by one. In fact, they had been around here and listened to the conversation between Lin Zixuan and Yun Lintian a long time ago. As junior brother Yun said, Master, we are not afraid of that person. Jiang Yingyu said calmly, Master, do you really think we are weak? Aren't you looking down on your disciples too much? Murongzhu said with dissatisfaction. That's right, Master, let him come. I'll let good junior brother hit him. Nanshan Fengyu waved her small fists vigorously. Meanwhile, Lin Ziniao stared at Lin Zixuan silently without a word, but the meanings in her eyes were evident. She truly wanted Lin Zixuan to regain her strength. Lin Zixuan tilted her head slightly as though she looked at her disciples one by one. A while later, she asked, Do you have a way to make it, as the seal has never been taken care of? Yun Lintian shook his head. I don't know. Please give me one night and I will come up with a solution. Then we will talk about it tomorrow, Lin Zixuan said and slowly walked toward her bamboo hut. Lin Ziniao turned her head to look at Yun Lintian and said, Thank you. Afterward, she slowly followed Lin Zixuan behind. Are you confident? Murongzhu walked toward Yun Lintian as she asked. I can't talk about it yet. Let me look at it first, Yun Lintian replied uncertainly. However, in his heart, he was 99% sure he could get rid of the seal in Lin Zixuan's body. Come on, good junior brother. You can do it. Nanshan Fengyu waved her fists once again. I'll leave master to you, Jiang Yingyu said softly before returning to her residence. Yun Lintian said nothing further and returned to his room. He took out the universal seal art book and searched for the corresponding seal. An hour later, Yun Lintian seemed to discover the seal he was looking for. This seal was called Life-Leeching Seal, one of the most horrifying seals in the monarch. It would slowly absorb the target's vitality to strengthen itself before taking over the target's body when the target died. The target would become a lifeless puppet under the seal owner's absolute control. Which bastard is using such a disgusting seal on her? Yun Lintian couldn't help cursing aloud. Out of every profound art in this world, Yun Lintian hated a kind of puppet art the most, especially the one used on the corpse. He didn't understand. There were plenty of profound arts, yet these people chose to practice such a disgusting art instead. Yun Lintian read the description about the life-leeching seal further and discovered it was quite troublesome to get rid of it. First, Yun Lintian had to make sure Lin Zixuan's body could handle the following damage during the unsealing process. Secondly, he had to take all the seal's roots out simultaneously. If not, the seal might activate its ability to devour the target's internal organs. The target would definitely die in an instant. Lastly, even though he could safely take it out, Yun Lintian had no way of recovering Lin Zixuan's vitality. She would still end up losing her life a few years later. This was not something Yun Lintian could help with. Thinking of this, Yun Kaingsu's figure suddenly appeared in Yun Lintian's mind. He didn't know how she was doing now. After the frozen moon mythical realm ended, I have to leave this continent to find the tree of life right away. He made up his mind. Yun Lintian took a deep breath, putting Yun Kaingsu's matter aside and continued to read further. At the same time, he was constantly thinking of a way to conceal the seal within Lin Zixuan's body so that the seal's owner wouldn't notice anything unusual about it. Time passed by quickly. It was until the morning did Yun Lintian discover a solution. He was now fully confident about dealing with this disgusting seal. Master, I have found a solution for your condition now. However, I cannot guarantee the result. In the bamboo hut, Yun Lintian faced Lin Zixuan with a serious expression. Can you explain about it? Standing behind Lin Zixuan, Jiang Yingyu asked. Meanwhile, Murongzhu, Nanshan Fengyu, and Lin Ziniao were also looking at Yun Lintian, waiting for his explanation. The seal within Master's body is called life-leeching seal. It is one of the most powerful seals in the monarch rank. If it was planted in the target's body, it would slowly absorb the target's vitality to strengthen itself. When it reached a certain point, the target would die and become a lifeless puppet under the seal's control. Yun Lintian gave them a brief introduction to the life-leeching seal. The expressions of everyone turned unsightly upon hearing this. They didn't expect this seal to be this vicious. It could actually make the target become a puppet. To get rid of it, I have to take out all of its roots together at once. This process is difficult, but it's not out of my hands. The real difficult one is how to take it out without making the seal's owner notice it. Yun Lintian explained further. So I come up with a solution. We will make a dummy of Master up by using her blood and aura. This process might be risky because the Master's body condition is not good. Also, I can't restore Master's vitality even if we manage to take the seal out in the end. Master's lifespan would still be the same as of now. Everyone looked at each other and didn't know what to say for a moment. Let's do it, Lin Zixuan suddenly said. Before this, she had almost given up on her life because she didn't want to harm people around her. However, upon listening to everyone's persuasion yesterday, she had come to a decision. It was better to die on the battlefield than dying here without doing anything. Master, Nanshan Fengyu spoke worriedly. Her childish side was nowhere to be seen at this moment. Didn't you want me to do this yesterday? How come you are worrying now? Lin Zixuan smiled faintly. Nanshan Fengyu bit her lips, lowering her head without a word as if she was about to cry. Silly girl, you have to trust in your junior brother. He will definitely save our master, Murongzhu said softly while hugging Nanshan Fengyu's shoulders. The light in Jiang Yingyu's eyes stirred slightly, but she didn't say anything in the end. No one knew what she was thinking right now. I think we should ask Palace Master Han to come here. At least she would be able to do anything if there's a mishap, Yun Lintian suggested. I'll contact Master now. Lin Ziniao took out a transmission jade and contacted Han Bingling directly. While waiting for Han Bingling, Yun Lintian looked at Lin Zixuan and asked, Master, you really don't want to tell me about the enemy. Don't you think it's better for me to know about it so that I can prepare a countermeasure? Lin Zixuan was silent for a brief moment and said, We will talk about it after you've taken care of the seal. Yun Lintian nodded and started to prepare a dummy target. He took out a human-like wooden totem he had prepared beforehand and inscribed a soul and blood-holding runes on it. Whoosh, all of a sudden Han Bingling appeared in the room and she straightly asked, Have you decided, sister? Lin Zixuan smiled faintly. It's time to change. Han Bingling stared at Lin Zixuan for a long time before turning to Yun Lintian and saying with a rare serious tone, You must save her. Yun Lintian nodded his head. I'll try my best. Afterward, Yun Lintian told Lin Zixuan to lie on the bed, and he moved to her side, putting the wooden dummy nearby her body. Meanwhile, Han Bingling erected an enormously powerful isolation barrier to cover the entire Moonlight Peak, as if they were about to face a strong enemy. Yun Lintian sat on a stool beside the bed and said, Please allow me to first check your pulse, Master. Please be at ease and relax your body. Following that, Yun Lintian gently closed his eyes and grabbed Lin Zixuan's wrinkled wrist while releasing his profound energy. Instantly, a warm and gentle profound energy flowed into her channels and moved toward every corner of her body. In just a short few dozens of breaths, Yun Lintian opened his eyes and retracted his hand as he said, "Master, I will draw a few drops of your blood essence out, as well as a portion of your aura. I hope Master can endure the pain for a moment. Go ahead, don't worry about me much," Lin Zixuan said calmly, as if her life and death didn't matter to her. Yun Lintian did not speak any further and pointed his index finger, that was covered with sharp, profound energy, at Lin Zixuan's navel area. His finger immediately sunk into her navel with a gentle push, and a few droplets of shining, red-colored blood slowly emerged from the wound. Yun Lintian swiftly retracted his finger and used his profound energy to draw the droplets of blood into the wooden dummy on the side. At the same time, he activated the runes on the wooden dummy, and Lin Zixuan's blood essence immediately flowed within it in the same way as it flowed in the human body. Following that, Yun Lintian used a silver needle to pierce into Lin Zixuan's soul gate between her brows and drew a tiny portion of her soul out before putting it into the wooden dummy. Closing the wound and retrieving the silver needle on Lin Zixuan's body, Yun Lintian let out a long breath and said, "The initial step is done. Now I will take the seal out. Master, please don't resist during the process. Otherwise, the seal will act up and the consequence will be very severe." "Go," Lin Zixuan replied. Yun Lintian took a few deep breaths to calm himself down for a moment. Suddenly, his eyes shone with golden light, and his hands started to move. Lintian spread his spiritual sense out to trace along with the seal's complicated roots one by one. It took him 10 minutes before he could cover the entire seal's roots without leaving one behind. In order to prevent any accident from occurring in the following process, Yun Lintian fed Lin Zixuan a high-level healing pill and pierced a few silver needles through the important gates beforehand. After confirming there was no mistake in the preparation, a small knife silently appeared in Yun Lintian's right hand. He swiftly stabbed it into Lin Zixuan's body, right above the seal area on her chest, and successfully created a palm-size hole on it. During this process, Lin Zixuan didn't even frown once. It was as if she didn't feel any pain. Tossing the knife to the side, Yun Lintian didn't hesitate to wrap the seal's roots with his profound energy before slowly uprooting all of them at the same time. This time, Lin Zixuan immediately groaned in pain. She felt her body was about to tear apart as countless small holes appeared on her internal organs. Blood slowly seeped out through the hole in her chest. The expressions of Han Bingling and others became tense when they saw this. However, no one dared to utter any sound for fear it might affect Yun Lintian's concentration. Sweats emerged on Yun Lintian's forehead as the golden light in his eyes started to sway due to the intense focus. He didn't dare to be distracted in the slightest and continued to uproot the seal's roots with caution. 30 minutes passed by. Yun Lintian managed to remove the seal's roots altogether with no accident. However, as he was about to feel at ease, the life-leeching seal suddenly shook and became active. Its roots started to move frantically, looking for Lin Zixuan's internal organs. Puff! Lin Zixuan immediately coughed up blood and her body twitched violently. Yun Lintian's complexion abruptly changed and shouted, "Help me pin her down." Han Bingling was the first to react as her figure flashed and arrived beside Lin Zixuan. She hurriedly pressed Lin Zixuan's shoulders down with both hands and beckoned Jiang Yingyu and others to take care of Lin Zixuan's legs. Yun Lintian simply had no time to think of the cause of the seal acting up. He picked up the wooden dummy and plunged it into Lin Zixuan's opened wound. At the same time, he tried his best to move all the seal's roots into the wooden dummy currently laid above the seal. At this moment, the seal was like an ugly octopus trying to get out of Yun Lintian's control by swinging its tentacles around desperately. Yun Lintian gritted his teeth and injected more of his profound energy to suppress the seal's roots. Unfortunately, the roots suddenly burst out with great strength. One of its roots successfully broke out of Yun Lintian's control before swiftly piercing into Lin Zixuan's lung, causing the latter to hiss painfully. "I will act now." Han Bingling saw the situation was not good. She quickly utilized her profound energy and prepared to take action. "Stop! Your profound energy will make it rampage more." "Leave it to me," Yun Lintian yelled out as lightning sparks appeared around his body. He quickly turned the profound energy currently covering the seal's roots into the lightning attribute 1. Surprisingly, it worked so perfectly, as the seal's roots were shrinking back almost in an instant upon touching with the lightning energy. Yun Lintian seized this chance to move all the seal's roots and the seal itself onto the wooden dummy. The seal's roots seemed to discover a source of vitality and quickly wrapped around the wooden dummy tightly. Seeing this, Yun Lintian used his bare hand to grab the wooden dummy and pull it out as fast as possible. Instantaneously, the wooden dummy and the seal were exposed in the air. Its ugly and vicious appearance came to everyone's sight, causing a chill to run down on their spines. They couldn't believe such a hideous thing had been living in Lin Zixuan for all this time. The seal's roots were trying to drill into Yun Lintian's hand, but they were scared away by his lightning sparks. Yun Lintian quickly put the wooden dummy into a rigid container with sealing runes before closing the lid and activating the runes. Yun Lintian then turned around and closed the wound on Lin Zixuan's body while stuffing the healing pill into her mouth. A few minutes later, the wounds on Lin Zixuan's internal organs and chest were gradually improved and successfully passed the danger threshold. It was at this time Yun Lintian could finally be relieved. "We've succeeded." Everyone heaved a sigh of relief simultaneously and looked at each other with a smile. "Thank you, Lintian." Han Bingling suddenly bowed her head slightly, catching Yun Lintian off guard. Yun Lintian hurriedly said, "You don't have to say these things. It is my duty to do this. She's my master, after all." For fearing Han Bingling would continue to say gratitude words, Yun Lintian changed the topic. "Can you tell me now who is the person that planted this vicious seal on Master?" As his voice fell, silence immediately descended, and the atmosphere unknowingly turned solemn. Yun Lintian looked at everyone in confusion but didn't say a word. He had a hunch that this person was someone they could not resist. "Big Sister Mumu, do you know who that person is?" On the side, Linlin asked Mumu curiously. "He's the currently most powerful person in this world, Azure Palace Master," Mumu replied. There was clearly a trace of hatred in her voice. Linlin's eyes widened open in surprise. "Why did he do this? It's complicated." "Wait for them to talk about it," Mumu responded while looking at Yun Lintian, appearing as if she was thinking of something. "Tell him he cannot escape from the relationship now," Lin Zixuan said weakly as she tried to get up. Although her strength hadn't yet returned, she now seemed to regain her original confidence. Han Bingling slowly nodded her head. She took a deep look at Yun Lintian and said, "He's the current Azure Palace Master, Weilan Tianjin." "Azure Palace Master?" Yun Lintian's brows pricked. "Isn't this too cliché? The biggest villain has to be the most powerful person in the world." Han Bingling glanced at Lin Zinniao briefly and asked Yun Lintian, "Have you ever heard there are other worlds beyond our world?" Yun Lintian nodded. "I always believe there are other worlds that similar or surpass ours." Everyone looked at Yun Lintian in surprise. Yun Lintian seemed to be extremely confident about this. What made him think so? They would probably vomit blood if they knew Yun Lintian's source of confidence was coming from the novels he had read. Han Bingling was silent for a moment and said, 30 years ago, a celestial woman was coming to this world from the outside. The appearance of her caused a huge sensation among the world's upper echelons. As you know, before this, everyone thought going out of this world was something that existed in the legend only. However, her existence has proven otherwise. While everyone thought they could flatter her and hope she could bring them out of this world together, they soon discovered she wasn't as powerful as they had expected, which aroused greed in them. They wanted to capture her and extracted everything about the outside world from her. Naturally, there were a lot of people standing on her side and tried to protect her. Sister Zixuan and I were one of them. We later brought her to Northern Continent and let her live under the protection of my Frozen Moon Palace and Sky Throne Profound Academy. During this period, Lin Zixun, your master's youngest brother, had fallen in love with this woman, and both of them had become a husband and wife later. The two of them had given birth to a beautiful daughter. Han Bingling paused for a moment and looked at Lin Zinniao. Yun Lintian followed Han Bingling's gaze and immediately understood everything. Lin Zinniao was Lin Zixuan and this celestial woman's daughter. It was no wonder she possessed the divine moon profound vein. Han Bingling shifted her gaze back to Yun Lintian and continued. This peace didn't last long. When Zinniao was 2 years old, Azure Palace Lord Weilan Tianjin appeared along with Heavenly Sword Palace Master, Star-Gazing Palace Master, as well as Senior Duzai Ocean of the Myriad Pill Palace. They had come to bring Zinniao's mother away. Of course, Sister Zixuan, Principal Tian, and I wouldn't let bring her away, and the fight had broken out. Facing such a powerful lineup, our side certainly could not resist them. We ended up losing. However, at that moment, Zinniao's mother suddenly regained her strength. In a short period, she had severely injured all of them. I don't know why she didn't kill them in the end, but chose to spare them. At the same time, she told us that someone from her clan would soon discover her because she had released her aura. Hence, she had to leave this world as soon as possible, and she could not bring Zinniao with her, because Lin Zixun was deeply in love with her. He was adamant about going with her even though he knew his strength was insufficient. In the end, both of them left this world together, leaving Zinniao behind in our care. Speaking to this point, Han Bingling's eyes flashed with a cold light. As soon as they left, Weilan Tianjin wanted to capture Zinniao and Mumu to vent his anger. Even though he was severely injured, Sister Zixuan and I were not his opponents. At the crucial moment, Lin Hai had intervened. He offered to cripple Sister Zixuan and convinced Weilan Tianjin to give up on Xiniao. After all, Xiniao's true profound vein had been sealed by her mother. She basically had no value in Weilan Tianjin's eyes. So, he accepted the offer and vented his anger by planting this hideous seal on Master. Yun Lintian interjected. He had thoroughly understood the ins and outs in this matter now. Han Bingling nodded her head slowly. I knew he had given up only on the surface. The moment he has recovered from his severe injuries, he would definitely come to capture Xiniao. Yun Lintian lowered his head slightly, falling into contemplation. Unknowingly, he had been involved in such a headache plot, and the situation seemed to get bigger one after another. There was no way he could resist this Weilan Tianjin with his current strength. He raised his head and asked, "How much time do we have before he has recovered?" 5 years. However, if he managed to get some divine rank treasures, it would be faster than that. Han Bingling answered. Yun Lintian rubbed his temples and muttered to himself. 5 years, he was confident to reach the Saint Profound Realm within 5 years, but the Monarch Profound Realm seemed impossible. Not to mention, he had to restrict his strength in order to enter a mythical realm. In any case, it was too difficult to resist Weilan Tianjin. Silence descended and the atmosphere in the room turned heavy. Everyone knew this upcoming battle was an impossible fight. Yun Lintian suddenly turned to Lin Xiniao and asked, "Did your mother leave anything for you?" Lin Xiniao was silent for a while before shaking her head. Han Bingling interjected. "Actually, she told me something before she left. She said the seal in Xiniao's body could not be removed unless it was necessary." The seal? Yun Lintian's eyes turned golden as he stared at the moon seal on Lin Xiniao's body. At the same time, the Universal Seal art book silently appeared in his hand. Yun Lintian swiftly flipped through the book page by page for several minutes until he found the information of the seal in Lin Xiniao's body. This seal was called Hiding Moon Seal, the Divine Rank Seal. It was a unique seal of the Divine Moon clan. It could conceal the Divine Moon profound vein, but it would restrict the target's strength. When it was released, the target's strength would soar to the limit, allowing the target to wield the divine power for a short period. Everyone looked at the book in Yun Lintian's hand curiously. When they caught a glimpse of the content in the book, they were immediately stupefied and glanced at each other in astonishment. Murongzu thought of the books she got from Yun Lintian before and now this Universal Seal art book. She was unable to hold her curiosity further. "Junior brother, where do you get all of these books from?" Yun Lintian retracted his gaze and raised his head to look at them. Seeing their curious expressions, he replied casually, "I picked them up from the ruins." "From the ruins?" Murongzu frowned slightly, appearing half-believed in his words. Meanwhile, Han Bingling didn't believe in the slightest. Among everyone in this room, she was the one who understood Yun Lintian's background the most. It was too unbelievable for him to pick all of these books up somewhere. Her guess was that they were a legacy of the Misty Cloud sect. During this period, Han Bingling didn't forget to look for the Misty Cloud sect's information, but she didn't find anything until now. It was as though this sect had been totally disappeared from the world's history. There wasn't a tiny clue left behind, except for the fact that the sect had been founded 5,000 years ago. Yun Lintian didn't give any explanation and changed the topic. The seal on Miss Lin's body is called the Hiding Moon Seal. It can conceal her Divine Moon profound vein, but it will restrict her strength to a certain level. If she released it, her strength would soar above the Monarch Profound Realm in a short period. Hiding Moon Seal. Divine Moon Profound Vein, Lin Zixuan muttered in confusion. The expressions of others were also the same. They had never heard about this before. Yun Lintian had a weird expression seeing this. Oops. Did I just reveal something that I shouldn't reveal? Miss Lin's mother never told you about her origin before? Yun Lintian asked. Since he had already spoken it out, he might as well tell them everything. Although he hadn't completely trusted them, they wouldn't necessarily be bad judging from their characters. Even if one of them betrayed Yun Lintian, he could just run away at that time. Han Bingling and Lin Zixuan shook their heads. Han Bingling said, "She never told us anything aside from there are a lot of worlds beyond this world, and one day we might be able to leave this world." "May I ask what her name is?" Yun Lintian asked further. "Yue Ziqian," Lin Xiniao replied, "surname Yue as expected." Yun Lintian slowly nodded his head. From the information he had, the mainline of the Divine Moon clan used the character Yue as their surname. Undoubtedly, Lin Xiniao's mother, Yue Ziqian, was a mainline member of the Divine Moon clan. As expected what? Nanshan Fengyu asked curiously. Yun Lintian didn't hide anything further and told them. Miss Lin's mother is someone from the Divine Moon clan. I don't know where they are, but they are definitely a high-level existence beyond our comprehension. Palace Master Han and Master should understand this more than me. Han Bingling recollected her memories of Yue Ziqian for a moment and said, "You're right, the power she released back then was beyond the Monarch Profound Realm. In front of her, Weilan Tianjin and other palace masters aren't even counted as an ant. Her power is far surpassing our scope of understanding. Jiang Yingyu, Murongzhu, and Nanshan Fengyu glanced at each other in shock. They had personally witnessed everything back then, but they still felt it was too incredible upon hearing Han Bingling's words. So the seal on Miss Lin's body is a trump card her mother left behind. However, my guess is that she would be discovered by the Divine Moon clan upon releasing it. If that's the case, the danger we are about to face is several thousands of times greater than Weilan Tianjin's threat. Yun Lintian expressed his thought. Think about it. What would happen to this world if one of them came to this place? Yun Lintian glanced at everyone and continued. I believe every world has its power ceilings for a reason. For example, the ceiling of this azure world is the peak of monarch profound realm. If some had gone beyond that, this world's balance might break, and who knows what would happen afterward. The world could break into pieces. That's why Miss Lin's mother didn't use much of her power to finish Weilan Tianjin. You're saying if one of the Divine Moon clan's members came here, this world might break apart because their power has surpassed the world's limit. Murongzhu seemed to understand Yun Lintian's conjecture. That's right, Yun Lintian nodded. He looked at Lin Xiniao and said further. Therefore, Miss Lin should never release the seal no matter what happens. I have a way to raise the power restriction on your seal, so you can reach the higher realm with no problem. The expressions of everyone turned heavy, and they pretty much agreed with Yun Lintian's approach. However, how were they going to deal with Weilan Tianjin then? Yun Lintian naturally saw through everyone's thoughts. He smiled faintly and said, "We still have at least 5 years. There are many things we can do in these 5 years. Just believe in yourself." Yun Lintian had a plan to give them a high-level, profound art, but he needed to observe them first for the time being. This was counted as a future investment. Maybe all of them could become his Misty Cloud sex assets in the future. You are right, this is not the end. Suddenly, Lin Zixuan slowly got up from the bed. Her eyes suddenly shone with a purple light, seemingly penetrating everything in this world. "Master, your eyes," Jiang Yingyu exclaimed in surprise as she saw the gleam in Lin Zixuan's eyes. Lin Zixuan turned to look at Jiang Yingyu with a smile. "Thank you for taking care of me for all this time. Now it's my turn to take care of you." That was right. Lin Zixuan had completely regained her vision. Lin Zixuan's previous lifeless eyes were now brimming with vitality. Her gaze was extremely sharp, as though it could penetrate anything in this world. Unfortunately, her appearance could not be recovered, as the life-leeching seal severed most of her vitality. "That's great, Master." Nanshan Fengyu jumped up with joy and ran to Lin Zixuan's side, happily holding the latter's hand. "Congratulations, Master," Murongzhu said with a smile. Lin Zixuan patted Nanshan Fengyu's head lovingly and said to Han Bingling, "Can you help me seal the news?" Han Bingling responded, "Leave it to me, Sister Zixuan." She then turned to Yun Lintian and asked, "How long does she need to recover?" "Half a year at least. Master's former power is too high after all. Not to mention Master's profound vein has been dried up for a long time." Yun Lintian replied. Han Bingling frowned as she said, "It's too slow. Is there any way to speed it up?" Yun Lintian thought for a moment and said, "There is." He then waved his hand and several best-grade profound stones appeared on the floor. The appearance of the best-grade profound stones caused everyone to startle and look at Yun Lintian in disbelief. While they were startling, Yun Lintian took out Celestial Buddha Lotus and said, "Master can use these profound stones to speed your recovery process up. However, Master's current profound vein is too weak. It's better to use this chance to temper it first before absorbing the profound stone." Instantaneously, the bamboo hut was filled with intense profound energy coming out of the best-grade profound stone. Combining with the overwhelming aura from Celestial Buddha Lotus, everyone felt as though they were lost in a paradise. What is this lotus?" Murongzhu stared attentively at the golden-colored lotus in Yun Lintian's palm. Among everyone in this room, she was the most resourceful when it came to treasure, but she had no clue about this lotus. "This is divine aura," Han Bingling said with a surprise. Before this, Yun Lintian had shown the best-grade profound spirit liquid to her, and now this divine rank lotus. She took a deep look at Yun Lintian and wondered how many secrets did he have. "It's called Celestial Buddha Lotus. The divine rank magical plant. It has the ability to strengthen one's profound vein," Yun Lintian explained. He turned to Lin Zixuan and said, "There are a total of 9 leaves. Master can take 1 leaf at a time. Its effect is extremely potent. It's best to take it while Palace Master Han is around." Lin Zixuan was extremely shocked in her heart when she saw this. She didn't expect Yun Lintian to casually give such a rare treasure to her. She took a deep breath and said, "They are too precious. I can't accept it. You should save it for your own use. I don't have much time left anyway. No need to waste them on me." Yun Lintian's gaze swept over everyone and did not detect any trace of greed in their eyes. He dared to take them out because he was willing to believe in their characters for the time being, and it seemed he was right this time. Yun Lintian smiled and reached out his other hand. In the next moment, a few celestial Buddha lotuses appeared in his palm as he said, "Master doesn't have to worry about me. Look, I have a lot of them. They're enough for me to use." This time, everyone was thoroughly dumbfounded. Since when the divine rank treasure was easy to find like a cabbage, Yun Lintian did not stop at that. He waved his hand, and a small mountain of the best-grade profound stones appeared in the room, along with many buckets of the best-grade profound spiritual liquid. Seeing this scene, everyone in the room didn't know what to say anymore. Their minds were blown away by these dazzling treasures. Even Han Bingling, who had seen a lot of high-ranked treasures, was opening her mouth wide in a daze. She couldn't believe her eyes. "You can accept them at ease, Master," Yun Lintian said with a smile while observing everyone's face. Except for the shock and disbelief, there was nothing else in their eyes. Nanshan Fengyu swallowed her saliva and yelled, "Good junior brother, you are hiding so many things from your fifth sister. Let's see how I clean you up." Her eyes were fixated on the treasures before her while drooling. If it wasn't because the presence of Lin Zixuan, she would pounce on them a long time ago. Yun Lintian chuckled and said, "Now, do you believe we can do many things in these 5 years' time?" Everyone subconsciously nodded their head in agreement. With these amounts of the best-grade profound stones and profound spiritual liquid, they believed they could break through to the next level with no problem. Lin Zixuan stared at Yun Lintian for a long time before saying, "I'll accept them." Yun Lintian smiled faintly and turned to Jiang Yingyu, "Big sister Yingyu, I can see you are about to break through to the monarch profound realm. You can take this lotus and profound stones." Jiang Yingyu didn't say anything and calmly accepted the lotus from Yun Lintian. There was no need for the gratitude words. She had noted down in her heart and would repay him in the future. Yun Lintian looked at Murongzu and said, "Second sister, music sorcery is unique. I cannot forcibly break through by using external factors like these treasures. Although this lotus is useless on your music sorcery, there's no harm in strengthening your profound vein. As for this profound spirit liquid, it will help nourish your soul. You should take them." Murongzu smiled warmly and took the lotus. "Your second sister will take advantage of you then." Before Yun Lintian could speak, Nanshan Fengyu suddenly arrived before him and said loudly, "Good junior brother, your fifth sister will gladly accept your goodwill." Following that, she took one of the lotuses from his hand as well as a large portion of profound stones. Yun Lintian was speechless for a while, looking at the busy Nanshan Fengyu. This fifth sister of his was surely had no reservation at all. "Fifth sister, your strength is mainly depending on your divine phoenix bloodline. These things are pretty much useless for you. Why don't you save some for others?" Yun Lintian reluctantly said. "What, are you looking for a beating, junior brother?" Nanshan Fengyu stopped her movement and waved her tiny fist at Yun Lintian. "You should listen to your junior brother. What he said is nothing wrong," Lin Zixuan said calmly. However, there was a trace of sternness in her voice, causing Nanshan Fengyu to shudder. Nanshan Fengyu pouted aggrievedly and reluctantly put a few profound stones back to the floor. "What about me? Do I have a share?" Han Bingling smiled charmingly as she looked at Yun Lintian. Her voice was extremely seductive, making Yun Lintian's heart itchy. Yun Lintian threw 3 celestial Buddha lotuses to Han Bingling and said, "You can give them to your people." Han Bingling received the lotuses and blew a kiss to Yun Lintian. "Thank you." Mua, Jiang Yingyu, and Murongzu had strange expressions on their face seeing Han Bingling's action. They couldn't believe the dignified Frozen Moon Palace master had such a playful side. Meanwhile, Lin Ziniao was surprised slightly. She knew Han Bingling was like this whenever she was with her trusted aides, but she didn't expect her to show this side to Yun Lintian too. Yun Lintian's face clamped a little and quickly changed the topic. "As for the seal on Miss Lin's body, give me some times to study first, and I will help you raise the power restriction. You can call me by my name directly," Lin Ziniao spoke. She wanted to tell him this a long time ago. "All right," Yun Lintian nodded. "Everyone, please be careful when you are taking the lotus. Don't stay alone. Find someone to guard you." "Understood," everyone responded in unison. Since there was nothing to do here anymore, Yun Lintian excused himself and returned to his residence with Linlin. After Yun Lintian left, Lin Zixuan beckoned everyone to sit and said to Murongzu, "I will leave the task calling your third and fourth sister back to you. Tell them I want to see them." Murongzu accepted the task readily and left the bamboo hut. "Sister Zixuan, should we tell Senior Tian?" Han Bingling asked. Lin Zixuan shook her head. "It's better to hide this from him first. He is currently focusing on the Peng clan. We shouldn't distract him with this." She paused for a moment and said, "What we need to do right now is practice. I reckon Poison Valley would send someone over soon, and their target should be Yun Lintian." This time they had failed miserably. According to my understanding of them, they would never swallow this anger. So we need to protect him during this period. Han Bingling leaned back slightly and said, Sister Zixuan, you might not know this, he doesn't like being watched. I once sent Mayu to secretly protect him, but his perception is extremely keen. He found out in almost an instant. I suggest that we shouldn't send someone to protect him. Seeing Lin Zixuan frowning, Han Bingling said further. Don't worry about him. As you can see, he's so confident in himself. He didn't seem afraid that we would capture him when he took out all of these treasures. I believe he has other secrets that we don't know, and it should be something that could guarantee his safety. Lin Zixuan pondered for a while and finally nodded her head. She asked, have you checked on the Endless Sea recently? From the report I got, there is no major event over there. It is too calm. I'm afraid this is the calm before the storm. Han Bingling replied with a trace of worry. That's for sure. There is no way that bastard Northern Endless Sea Lord could stay idle after so many failures recently. Lin Zixuan said. She turned to Jiang Yingyu and asked, I heard Hong Wuya is now recovered. Is it true? Jian Yingyu responded. It's true, master. Junior brother was the one who helped him. Since that's the case, we should ask him to see Northern Endless Sea Lord. Perhaps we could gain something. Lin Zixuan expressed her opinion. Everyone in the academy knew the grudge between Hong Wuya and Northern Endless Sea Lord. His wife was killed by the latter. He tried to retaliate several times for these hundreds of years but failed every time. Hence, sending Hong Wuya over there would not arouse suspicions from anyone. I'll talk with him. Right now, his starry hall isn't stable. I don't think he will leave for the time being. Han Bingling said, It's fine, we can afford to wait for a few months. Lin Zixuan responded. After a while, Lin Zixuan said, I'll try to consume this lotus now. I'll have to trouble you this time. Han Bingling smiled and said, Why are you saying this? Central Continent, Azure Palace. In a certain secret room where no light could penetrate, a male figure sitting calmly with his eyes closed on a small platform filled with countless runes. An intense vitality aura was revolving around his body, forming into a miniature cyclone. The man greedily absorbed it into his body. Evidently, he was trying to recover from his injuries. Suddenly, his eyes snapped open and a frown appeared between his eyebrows. Strange, he muttered to himself while thinking of something. Unable to confirm his conjecture, he sent a sound transmission to someone. Come to me. A while later, a tall figure appeared in front of the door with one knee on the ground. What is your instruction, master? Send someone to the Northern Continent. I want to know the status of that woman, the man in the room said. His voice was incomparably cold. Understood, master, the tall figure on the outside said, and his figure vanished from the spot afterward. Lin Zixuan, I hope you don't do something stupid before I can personally kill you, the man said coldly as terrifying killing intents flashed across his eyes. Yun Lintian was lying flat on the bed while contemplating the recent situation. There were too many things he had to prepare for in the near future, whether it was Poison Valley, the Peng clan, or Weilan Tianjin's threat. Everything wasn't something he could confront face to face with his current strength. Why did the mythical realm have to restrict the strength? Yun Lintian muttered in dissatisfaction. He could break through to the Earth Profound realm at any time, but he couldn't do it right away because he had to suppress his strength to enter the mythical realm. This kind of restriction was so annoying. Big brother Yun. Why did you reveal your treasure to them? Linlin, who was curling beside Yun Lintian, asked curiously. According to her understanding of Yun Lintian, he shouldn't trust anyone easily. She didn't understand why did he suddenly reveal his treasure like that. Yun Lintian stroked Linlin's fur and answered, Big brother wants to give them hope. Actually, 5 years are too short for us, the practitioners. It is almost impossible for us to raise our strength significantly even with the help of moon energy in this place. So giving them these things is not only giving them hope, but also serving as a motivation. At the same time, we can test their characters by doing this. Resources are essential things for any practitioner. Even the calmest person in the world might not be able to resist the temptation facing these heavenly treasures. However, these people didn't show any trace of greed so far except for fifth sister. Yun Lintian smiled faintly and continued. Big brother willing to trust them for the time being. Anyway, Big brother still needs allies to deal with the enemy. Linlin closed her eyes, enjoying being caressed by Yun Lintian. She was aware that Yun Lintian could escape at any time, but she was still worried. Now, listening to his explanation, she immediately realized it was the case. The enemy Yun Lintian was about to face in the near future was too powerful for him to handle alone, and the disciples of the Misty Cloud sect might not grow up in time. There was nothing wrong with him looking for an ally. After a while, Yun Lintian sat up and said, Let's enter the land of beyond heaven. Big brother needs to fetch something. Linlin nodded her head and jumped onto Yun Lintian's shoulder. However, before Yun Lintian could summon the gate of beyond heaven, the transmission jade on his waist suddenly shone with white light, indicating someone had contacted him. When he picked it up, Kai Zuan's voice immediately rang out from the other side. "Little brother Yun, junior brother Yang has woken up now. Do you want to come over to take a look?" Yun Lintian thought for a moment and said, "I'll be there in a while." Following that, he put the transmission jade away and entered the land of beyond heaven. Yun Lintian went straight to find Yun Qingru at the medicine garden behind the villa and handed dragon grass that he had picked up from the fallen dragon forest, along with a few droplets of fallen dragon's blood. "This is dragon grass, and it's a perfect one." Looking at the golden dragon coiling-shaped grass in Yun Lintian's hand, Yun Qingru was astonished. To this point, the celestial Buddha lotus was the highest-rank magical plant she had seen so far. And now another divine-rank plant had appeared before her. What kind of heaven-defying luck did Yun Lintian have? "I don't know if we can grow it here. I will leave it to you," Yun Lintian said with a smile. "There shouldn't be a problem." Yun Qingru carefully took the dragon grass and the bottle of dragon blood away while speaking. "Do we have a fire spirit pill here? A bottle can do," Yun Lintian asked. He had two purposes on coming here: finding suitable, profound art for himself and fetching the fire spirit pill for Yang Chen. "There are a few of them. You can go to the treasure hall," Yun Qingru said and walked toward a vacant space on the east side, searching for a suitable place to plant the dragon grass. Yun Lintian turned around and headed toward the center pagoda on Misty Lake. Along the way, he saw the disciples playing with the children in the pavilions. Joyous laughter could be heard from time to time. It seemed the children had recovered from the trauma and willing to trust everyone here now. "Headmaster." Suddenly, a female's voice rang out from behind, causing Yun Lintian to stop his track and turn around to look at the voice owner. Yun Lintian was surprised slightly seeing Yun standing there. During this period, Yun Lintian hadn't interacted with her much as he was busy with his own things. He remembered he had promised to find her mother, Yun Xilu, but he had completely forgotten about it. "Sorry, I forgot about your mother's matter," Yun Lintian said apologetically. Yun shook her head with a smile. "I know Headmaster is busy. There's nothing to apologize with." She changed the topic. "Headmaster, where are you heading to?" Yun Lintian looked into her eyes for a moment and did not see any resentment in them. He replied, "I'm going to fetch something from the treasure hall. How about you? What are you doing recently?" Yun Lintian discovered Yun Xi's strength had already reached the peak of Spirit Profound Realm, from a mortal a few months ago to this point. This speed was extremely terrifying. The so-called heavenly geniuses on the outside could not compare to her at all. Yun smiled as she answered, "I am learning alchemy under Teacher Qingru right now. I want to be useful for everyone here." Yun Lintian was surprised slightly. Out of all arts, alchemy was the most difficult one. It needed a lot of patience as well as persistence. Yun Xi's character was too weak, but she actually chose to learn this. One could see how determined she was. Yun Lintian took a deep look at Yun for a moment and said, "I know you have something to tell me. Why don't you say it out?" Yun was startled for a second and became hesitant. She took a deep breath and said, "I want to go out, Headmaster." "Go out?" Yun Lintian frowned slightly. "You want to find your mother by yourself?" Yun nodded her head firmly. "Recently, I had a bad feeling in my heart. I'm afraid something might happen to my parents." Yun Lintian thought for a moment and said, "I understand your feeling, but your current strength is not enough to go out alone. How about this? I'll ask the Cloud Shadow team to investigate this matter first. You can practice at ease during this period. When they find the clue, I won't stop you from leaving." Yun was disappointed, but she understood Yun Lintian was worried about her safety. She had no objection. "Thank you, Headmaster." "I'm sorry for bringing this matter up." Yun Lintian waved his hand dismissively. "There's nothing wrong with it. I would be the same if I were you. On the contrary, it's my neglect for forgetting my promise." "Mom." As Yun was about to say something further, the little girl Yun Xian suddenly trotted toward her with a few children following behind her. Yun Lintian and Yun turned to look at the incoming group of children, and the latter greeted, "Zioner." Yun Xian quickly arrived beside her mother and greeted Yun Lintian with a sweet smile. "Big brother Yun." Yun Lintian rubbed Yun Xian's head and asked, "You've grown taller, Zioner." He then turned to the children with their arms severed behind Yun Xian and said, "Hello. Do you like this place?" One of the children hurriedly replied with an innocent expression, "I like it. This place must be a paradise that my mother had told me. Thank you, big brother, for bringing us here." The other children were also nodding their heads vigorously. It had been a week since they came to this place. At first, they were afraid they would get tortured as before, but they were wrong. Everyone here was so kind to them and treated them well, making them completely forget the previous nightmare. Yun Lintian was happy for them. He exchanged a few words with them before heading toward the treasure hall. Entering the treasure hall, Yun Lintian looked around interestingly. This was the first time he had come here since it was completed. The interior of the treasure hall was no different from the other floors in this pagoda. The floor was laid with high-quality white marble, carving with countless invisible runes, forming into the saint-level killing formation prepared for an intruder. There were 4 extended wooden shelves arranged neatly on the 4 walls, and a lot of jade bottles could be seen on them. Nearby the stair, a young woman was sitting behind a small wooden counter, looking at Yun Lintian with a smile as she greeted. "Welcome to the treasure hall, headmaster." Yun Lintian returned the greets with a smile. "How come you are here, Yun Ting?" This treasurer was no other than Yun Ting, who had entered the Blazing Sun mythical realm with Yun Lintian. She replied, "It's Sister Chan who arranged for me to work here." Yun Lintian nodded his head slightly. During this period, Yun Ruanyu gave Yun Chan to manage the overall situation and used this chance to train her. There was nothing strange seeing Yun Chan's trusted aide like Yun Ting here. After all, the treasure hall was an important place. "I'll take some fire spirit pills away." "Can you tell me where they are?" Yun Lintian said while scanning the jade bottles on the shelves. Yun Ting went straight to the shelf behind her and fetched 5 jade bottles before handing them to Yun Lintian. "Here, headmaster." Yun Lintian received the jade bottles and opened them to check the content. After confirming it was the fire spirit pill, Yun Lintian thanked Yun Ting and left the land of beyond heaven right away. The moment Yun Lintian appeared in the room, he suddenly felt a powerful spiritual sense swept over, but it failed to penetrate the isolation formation around his residence. "Who is it?" Yun Lintian frowned and spread his spiritual sense out. On the outside, a tall woman clad in an azure-colored robe with her hair hung down to her waist, standing before Yun Lintian's residence. The most distinctive feature on her face was her pupils. They were golden in color, resembling dragon's pupils Yun Lintian had seen on Fallen Dragon. An oppressive aura kept emitting from her body, making her look terrifying. Yun Lintian was puzzled. Who was this person, and why did she look so aggressive? Suddenly, Yun Lintian recalled a piece of information that Murong Zhu had told him before. The mysterious third sister has been looking for someone to fight with. Could this woman be her? Thinking of this, Yun Lintian walked out of the house and observed the woman with caution. He didn't know what her purpose in coming here was. Was she looking for a fight? As he was observing her, the woman was also watching him. She had just returned to Moonlight Peak and heard she had a junior brother. That was why she came here to see him. "Are you my third sister?" Seeing the woman had no intention of introducing herself, Yun Lintian finally asked. The woman replied expressionlessly, "Long Feiyin." Yun Lintian smiled amiably and walked toward her. "My name is Yun Lintian. Please take care of me, third sister." The woman, Long Feiyin, didn't say anything, but terrifying profound energy started to revolve around her. With a wave of her hand, her profound energy immediately transformed into several sharp golden lights and shot toward Yun Lintian at full speed. Yun Lintian's face instantly changed color. He instinctively executed Shadow Step to perfectly avoid the incoming attack. However, when he reappeared several meters away, his body immediately tensed up as he was enveloped with a tyrannical aura. His instinct kept screaming danger in his mind, and his brain quickly sent a command to move his entire body away from the position. Boom! Unfortunately, before Yun Lintian could react, the surrounding area suddenly burst into a blazing explosion, immediately sending him to fly into the air like a cannonball. Roar! At this moment, Linlin jumped out of Yun Lintian's shoulder and transformed into a giant tiger before landing on the ground, receiving Yun Lintian onto her back and letting out a thunderous cry. Her face was incomparably cold as she stared at Long Feiyin. "You inferior golden dragon bloodline dare to attack Big Brother Yun. You deserve to die," Linlin snarled coldly at Long Feiyin. Around her body, countless golden lightning sparks flashed intensively, looking extremely terrifying. Long Feiyin's pupils constricted, looking at Linlin with a solemn expression. She was a descendant of the Central Continent's Long clan. The Long clan's ancestor had luckily inherited a genuine golden dragon bloodline and passed it down to his descendant. How come the tiger in front of her said her bloodline was inferior? At the same time, Long Feiyin could feel a strong suppression aura coming out from Linlin, causing her golden dragon bloodline to shake violently. What exactly was this tiger? Ugh! Yun Lintian groaned in pain and sat up on Linlin's back. He wiped the bloodstain out of the corner of his mouth while staring at Long Feiyin golden dragon bloodline. "Linlin, is she having the golden dragon bloodline?" Yun Lintian asked through a sound transmission. "Heh!" Linlin snorted coldly and explained. "She indeed has the golden dragon bloodline, but it is only an inferior version. The real golden dragon is one of the 5 dragon gods under the primordial azure dragon god. Obviously, there is no chance for a mortal to inherit his bloodline. I guess her ancestor was deceived by a lowest-class golden python." Yun Lintian's brows raised in surprise. He was surprised by Long Feiyan's bloodline and Linlin's arrogant posture. This was the first time he saw her acting like this. It seemed she was truly angry this time. Yun Lintian caressed Linlin's fluffy collar fur gently, trying to calm her down. "Don't be angry, let Big Brother handle this." Being caressed by Yun Lintian, Linlin's expression softened slightly, but she still stubbornly said, "This woman is too hateful. I want to teach her a lesson. It's all right." She obviously had no malicious intent in her earlier attack. Big Brother guesses that she is Big Brother's third sister, and she probably wants to test Big Brother's strength, Yun Lintian said softly. Hearing this, Linlin gave a fierce glare at Long Feiyan and reluctantly transformed back to her miniature form. Yun Lintian landed on the ground and looked at Long Feiyan. "I don't know what your purpose is on doing this, but I don't mind accompanying you to play." Following that, Yun Lintian stomped on the ground. His entire body instantly turned into a shadowy figure, charging at Long Feiyan. Long Feiyan put her messy thoughts aside and concentrated on the battle in front of her. Her spiritual sense spread out like a tidal stream, covering the entire surrounding area. To her surprise, she could not find a trace of Yun Lintian's presence at all. It was as though he had thoroughly disappeared from the place. Long Feiyan's eyes narrowed slightly. A powerful golden aura quickly burst out of her body, forming into a golden dome that speedily expands outward in every direction. Perceiving the power within the golden dome, Yun Lintian knew his current power might not be able to penetrate it, but he had to try anyway. Otherwise, he could only forget about defeating her. In a flash, Yun Lintian reappeared a few steps behind Long Feiyan. He clenched his right fist and punched out. Fire and lightning virtual dragons shot out of his fist and went straight at the golden dome. Boom. The golden dome shook violently under Yun Lintian's dragon fist. It swiftly solidified itself, turning its outer area into a sturdy golden metal wall, and managed to stop the fire and lightning dragons. After confirming Yun Lintian's position with her spiritual sense, Long Feiyan's figure became blurred and disappeared from the spot before reappearing behind Yun Lintian. Her arm was suddenly covered with a golden metal as he sent out a punch at the latter's back. However, Yun Lintian had anticipated this since he chose to show himself. His body quickly sank into the ground, trying to avoid Long Feiyan's punch. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Long Feiyan's scope of the attack. The burst aura around her punch was extremely wide, and it swept Yun Lintian away before he could completely avoid it. Boom! Yun Lintian felt as if he was being hit by a truck as he was sent away to the distance while coughing up fresh blood. Long Feiyan did not give Yun Lintian a breather. She swiftly closed the gap and appeared beside Yun Lintian before he could even land on the ground and sent out another punch at Yun Lintian's abdomen area. Bang! Yun Lintian was hit hard and immediately crashed onto the ground, creating a giant hole in it. His entire body was trembling in pain and several crackle sounds could be heard coming out of it. "Big Brother Yun!" Linlin screamed loudly and was about to transform, but she was interrupted by Yun Lintian's sound transmission. "Don't act, Big Brother is fine." At this moment, Yun Lintian's pupils shone brightly in golden light and he disappeared into thin air. A frown appeared on Long Feiyan's pretty face. She couldn't believe Yun Lintian could still move after receiving her last attack. Looked like this junior brother of hers had an unusually powerful physique. While she was thinking, Yun Lintian had reappeared 100 meters away from Long Feiyan with countless golden lightning sparks around him. The golden light in his eyes shone brighter than before as he pointed his index finger toward the sky. All of a sudden, black clouds quickly gathered together and completely blocked all the sunlight. Thunder roarings began to reverberate throughout the entire academy, causing everyone to look at the sky alarmingly. Long Feiyan's complexion abruptly changed because she perceived an immense power gradually brew up in the sky. She swiftly reacted and rushed to Yun Lintian at full speed. Yun Lintian's eyes fixated on Long Feiyan, and the corner of his mouth curled up into a confident grin. "Take this, third sister." Yun Lintian shouted and lowered his finger, pointing toward Long Feiyan. Instantaneously, the sky flashed with thunder sparks, producing a thick lightning bolt to descend on top of Long Feiyan. Long Feiyan's expression turned grave. Her golden aura burst forth and hastily transformed into several layers of solid metal barriers above her head. Zzz bang. The thick lightning bolt instantly penetrated Long Feiyan's golden metal barrier with no problem and struck her body directly. Long Feiyan was heavily crashed onto the ground by the irresistible lightning strike. Her entire body was seriously burned. Every single place on her body had turned into charcoal black. Her limbs were constantly twitched by the lightning energy left within her. Her current appearance was so miserable, extremely contrasted with when she first appeared. Yun Lintian let out a long breath and a wave of fatigue immediately hit him. Earlier, he had mobilized the thunder and called for the lightning strike with half of its original power. This move drained a lot of his profound energy as well as his mental power. In the future, he had to save this for the last resort. He looked at Long Feiyin in the distance and couldn't help thinking whether he had gone overboard. You surely didn't hold back, junior brother. At this moment, Murongzu appeared beside Long Feiyin along with Jiang Yingyu, Nanshan Fengyu, and the short-haired woman Yun Lintian had seen before. They glanced at Long Feiyin and turned to look at Yun Lintian in amazement. Yun Lintian smiled awkwardly. Sorry, my good junior brother did nothing wrong. Third sister had obviously started this first. She didn't hold back too. If it wasn't because of junior brother's strong physique, he would probably lie on the bed for several months by now. Nanshan Fengyu interjected, and there was a hint of pleasure in her voice. It seemed she had a slight grudge against Long Feiyin. Stop talking and help Feiyin first, Jiang Yingyu said, and carefully poured her profound energy to stabilize Long Feiyin's injuries. Nanshan Fengyu pursed her mouth and watched silently with no intention of helping. Meanwhile, the short-haired woman stared at Yun Lintian attentively. Her eyes were clearly leaking with greed, as if she had discovered a priceless treasure. Being stared like this, every strand of hair on Yun Lintian's body involuntarily stood up, and he subconsciously stepped back. Murongzu noticed this and chuckled. You two haven't met each other before, right? This is your fourth sister, Wu Qingcheng. She then turned to the short-haired woman, Wu Qingcheng, and said, This is our junior brother, Yun Lintian. The more Wu Qingcheng looked at Yun Lintian, the brighter her eyes became. She strode forward and said excitedly, Junior brother, do you want to get rich? Yun Lintian was taken aback and glanced at Murongzu for help. The latter curled her lips, unwilling to say anything, and looked at them with gusto. Helplessly, Yun Lintian turned to Wu Qingcheng and asked uncertainly, What instruction do you have, fourth sister? Wu Qingcheng patted Yun Lintian's shoulder and said enthusiastically, With your strength, I believe no one in the same realm as yours could be your opponent. Why don't we use this chance to earn a wave of money? You can simply challenge anyone, and your fourth sister will be responsible for opening the betting table. How about it? It's a good idea, right? Yun Lintian's mouth twitched slightly and said wryly, Sorry, fourth sister, I'm not interested in money, and I don't want to show myself in public. Wu Qingcheng gave a profound smile to Yun Lintian and said slowly, You have no choice now. I have already sent a challenge letter on your behalf. Your first match will start tomorrow. What? Yun Lintian wanted to curse out loud, but he managed to hold back timely. His brows creased together as he said coldly, Why are you doing this, fourth sister? Facing Yun Lintian's cold expression, Wu Qingcheng didn't seem to be affected in the slightest. She responded with a smile. Have you ever heard the Sky Ranking? She didn't wait for Yun Lintian to reply and continued. The Sky Ranking is our Academy's power ranking. As long as you can enter the top 10 rankings, you will receive a huge amount of resources. I know you have a lot of heaven-defying treasures. These resources are probably a joke in your eyes, but it doesn't mean your senior sisters don't need them. Wu Qingcheng deliberately paused for a moment and said further. And now, our master is recovering her former strength. Don't you think these resources are useful for her? Also, entering the top 10 rankings will give you a chance to compete for the Heavenly Sword Summit's quota. I think you should have heard about it before, right? Yun Lintian wanted to tell her that he had all the resources everyone needed, and they were almost unlimited too, but he didn't say it in the end. After all, it would be too suspicious. When he heard about the Heavenly Sword Summit part, his interest was piqued immediately. Yun Lintian had never seen this heavenly sword before, but he believed it was definitely a peerless treasure. Who knows, he might have a chance to obtain it. But that means I have to face a Saint Profound Realm student. I'm afraid I can't reach the top 10 ranking with my current strength. Yun Lintian expressed his thought. Wu Qingcheng laughed slightly and pointed at Long Feiyin. She's at the peak of the Saint Profound Realm, but you still can subdue her. Don't you think your statement is a bit ridiculous? Yun Lintian shook his head. It's not the same, fourth sister. That's my trump card, and I cannot use it freely at will. No matter what, I am just the Origin Profound practitioner. Wu Qingcheng frowned slightly and said, It's fine if you can't enter the top 10 right now. Wait until your strength reaches the Ruler Profound Realm. I believe no one in this academy would be your opponent. Wu Qingcheng possessed an incredibly sharp perception. She could clearly see Yun Lintian's potential and power sealing from the earlier battle. If she guessed correctly, his true strength could rival a practitioner with 2 great realms higher than his. In her opinion, the peak monarch might not necessarily be his opponent when he reached the Ruler Profound Realm. Qingcheng with a thoughtful expression. Although he was interested in the heavenly sword, it wasn't to the point he needed to cause trouble for himself. He believed he would have a chance to see it as long as he was strong enough. Therefore, Yun Lintian shook his head firmly. No, fourth sister, I won't participate in this. It's too troublesome and I don't want to reveal much of my strength to the outsider. It's best to retract that challenge letter. Before Wu Qingcheng could say anything, Jiang Yingyu spoke first. You shouldn't force him, Qingcheng. He's not stupid enough to believe in your nonsense. The resources he gave Master are more than enough to help her regain her former strength. As for the Heavenly Sword Summit, a soul mystic pavilion's successor like you should be clearer about the situation than anybody here. Even if he got the quota, those old monsters would never allow him to participate. Wu Qingcheng's mouth opened and closed a few times, but no word came out in the end. She could not come up with any refutes and decided to give up. Mystic Pavilion's successor, Yun Lintian, was surprised upon hearing this. He didn't expect Wu Qingcheng's identity to be this powerful. During these months, the Cloud Shadow team had gathered a lot of information related to the Mystic Pavilion. Through the report, Yun Lintian had a general idea about the power behind the pavilion. The Mystic Pavilion's mysterious leader had the surname Wu and was a powerhouse that could rival the palace masters of the 9 palaces. However, his origin was relatively unknown. He rose to power 1,000 years ago at lightning speed, and his mystic pavilion was quickly recognized as another pavilion beside the Star Pavilion by masses. Yun Lintian was curious why his successor appeared here in the Sky Throne Profound Academy. It was not only her but his other senior sisters too. Each one of them possessed an extremely powerful background, yet they happened to choose Lin Zixuan as their master. This was too coincident, right? Yun Lintian put these thoughts aside and went to check on Long Feiyan. Later, he discovered her condition wasn't severe as he had expected. Her physique seemed special, as though she was a body practitioner. Looked like her golden dragon bloodline was the reason behind this. Yun Lintian let Jiang Yingyu feed Long Feiyan a high-grade healing pill and brought her to her residence for recovery before preparing to set off toward the Starry Mountain. Before he left the Moonlight Peak, Wu Qingcheng approached him and asked, "Junior brother Wang Ju had issued a challenge to you. Do you want to reject it?" Yun Lintian's brows raised slightly. "Can I reject it? If possible, I'll have to trouble third sister to reject it on my behalf. I have no time to play with him." Wu Qingcheng had a disappointed expression, as though she had just lost an enormous profit, but she still nodded her head in the end. "Fine, I'll reject him for you." Yun Lintian said nothing further and walked down the mountain with Linlin. "Brother Yun." As Yun Lintian passed through the pathway toward the Starry Mountain, he suddenly heard Fei Mao's voice from afar. When Yun Lintian turned around, he saw Fei Mao's fat body trotting toward him while panting heavily. "What's wrong? Don't you attend Teacher Tai's class?" Yun Lintian asked. Fei Mao arrived in front of Yun Lintian and gasped for a few breaths before replying. "Brother Yun, I heard you are going to fight that Wang Ju. Is it true?" Yun Lintian was taken aback for a second and shook his head. "No. I won't play with him." At the same time, he sighed inwardly. His third sister had harmed him severely this time. Fei Mao frowned. "Really? Right now, everyone is talking about this. I heard Wang Ju say he will let everyone see that you are nothing but trash. Don't get me wrong, Brother Yun, it's not my words." Hearing this, Yun Lintian laughed slightly as he felt it was funny. He waved his hand and said, "You should go to the class already. I have something to do." "Oh, okay, see you later, Brother Yun." Fei Mao nodded his head firmly and watched Yun Lintian walk away until the latter disappeared from his sight before turning around and heading to the study building. An hour later, Yun Lintian arrived at Hong Wuya's courtyard. He entered the courtyard directly and saw Yang Chen sitting on the bed, seemingly falling in deep thought. "You're here," Kai Zuan immediately greeted, seeing Yun Lintian appear. "Sorry I was late," Yun Lintian said apologetically and turned to look at Yang Chen. "How do you feel, Brother Yang?" Yang Chen was awoken from a daze to see Yun Lintian. He hurriedly replied, "Thank you, Brother Yun. I'm much better now." Yun Lintian pulled a chair to the bedside and sat on it while asking, "I know you are in a hurry, but isn't this too reckless? What would happen to your sister if something happened to you? And there's your little girlfriend too. Even if you don't care about your life, you should think about them before taking a risk like this." Yang Chen immediately lowered his head in shame. He was indeed too reckless this time. He had overestimated his strength and believed everything would be easy for him to grab because he had inherited Yan Qi's legacy. Unfortunately, the reality had proven otherwise. "Well, I'm not your father either. I don't have a duty to teach you. This will be the last time I told you this." Yun Lintian didn't intend to reprimand Yang Chen further. He changed the topic. "Why don't you tell me what did you see in there?" Yang Chen went silent for a while before raising his head and saying, "I met a devil, a very terrifying devil." His face was a bit pale and a trace of fear could be heard in his voice. Yun Lintian nodded his head. "I know, it's a fire devil, right? Previously you had been infected by its devil fire. After I got rid of it, it showed itself in a spirit form resembled a devil creature." Yang Chen slowly nodded his head. When I entered the Devil Flame Bridge, there was a long bridge filled with intense fire in front of me. I heard everyone say that no one had ever reached the other side of the bridge before, but I actually did it with ease. Those fires couldn't harm me in the slightest. When I reached the end of the bridge, there was a vacant space with 7 flame pillars surrounding a black creature. This creature looked like a vivid fire and was somehow suppressed by the 7 flame pillars. It later tried to trick me into releasing it by using a powerful mental power. I was caught off guard and almost did what it wanted, but the protection that Master left in me was triggered, allowed me to get out of that place. Yun Lintian leaned back slightly and asked, "So you don't know much about it?" Yang Chen nodded his head. "I can't remember anything. It was as if that devil had erased my memory." "Well, if this devil could do that, you wouldn't remember who you are by now. Also, it didn't seem to know the outside situation at all, which means it couldn't read your memory. My guess is that it uses some sort of illusion spell on you from the moment you arrive at the end of the bridge. Everything you had seen might not be real." Yun Lintian expressed his thoughts. Yang Chen rubbed his temples, trying hard to recall the situation, but he couldn't think of anything. "Don't think about it for now. You should focus on recuperating first. We will figure it out later," Yun Lintian said. "By the way, what did Senior Yan tell you? He shouldn't let you go there blindly, right?" Yang Chen glanced at Kai Zuan and hesitated. He didn't know whether he should say it here. Kai Zuan noticed this and tacitly left the room. She didn't forget to erect the isolation barrier before leaving. Seeing this, Yang Chen felt guilty slightly. His current identity was the Starry Hall student, yet he couldn't completely trust his senior sister and even treated her as an outsider. Yun Lintian naturally saw through his thought. He said, "Being cautious is good. You did nothing wrong here. Sister Kai should understand it." Yang Chen nodded his head slightly. He took a deep breath and said, "Master told me that he left something for me in the Devil Flame Bridge. It is something that can prove my identity as his successor. I would inevitably visit the Blazing Sun Palace and fight for the Palace Master's position in the future. This thing would play a crucial role." "I see." Yun Lintian immediately understood. "But this is not something urgent. You can afford to wait, no?" Yang Chen shook his head. "No, Brother Yun. Master told me that the current Blazing Sun Palace Master is about to reach his lifespan. He will naturally choose a new successor soon. It should be 5 years from now on." "Really?" Yun Lintian was surprised slightly. If that was the case, Yang Chen indeed needed to hasten his progress. 5 years again. What a coincidence, Yun Lintian muttered to himself. 5 years later, Weilan Tianjun would completely recover and came to ask for the debt on Lin Zixuan, and now this. He didn't have time to relax at all. After a short silence, Yun Lintian said, "Well, I'll help you get it after returning from the Frozen Moon mythical realm." Yang Chen was hesitating briefly, "But it's too risky. I don't want Brother Yun to get involved in this." "Now you know it's risky," Yun Lintian mocked jokingly. He waved his hand dismissively. "You don't have to say anything further. I'm just curious about this devil. I must see it by myself." Yang Chen opened his mouth, but no word came out in the end. At the same time, he was grateful in his heart and vowed he would definitely repay Yun Lintian's kindness in the future. "Since you are fine now, I will leave first. If you are uncomfortable somewhere, you can contact me directly." Yun Lintian stood up and prepared to leave. Suddenly, he thought of something and handed the jade bottle to Yang Chen. "This is Fire Spirit Pill. Your soul has been injured by that devil fire. This will help your soul recover faster." Fire Spirit Pill? Yang Chen was stunned. He, of course, knew how precious the Fire Spirit Pill was. Seeing Yang Chen was about to refuse, Yun Lintian threw the jade bottle on Yang Chen's lap and said jokingly, "Take it. I have a lot of them. You can repay me when you become the Blazing Sun Palace Master." "I won't be polite by then." Yang Chen grabbed the jade bottle and responded with a firm attitude. "Definitely." Yun Lintian waved his hand and left the room directly with Linlin. The moment he came out, he saw Kai Zuan, Bai Qingyi, Qin Yuran, Qin Yuyan, and Lan Shuying standing there, as if they were waiting for him for a long time. Looking at them, Yun Lintian greeted. "It's been a while, huh, Brother Yun? I miss you." Bai Qingyi smiled charmingly and trotted toward Yun Lintian, causing the latter to step back involuntarily. "I know, but you don't have to come here, right?" Yun Lintian hurriedly raised his hand to stop Bai Qingyi. Bai Qingyi paused his track and pursed his mouth aggrievedly. "Haven't seen each other for a week and we become strangers now. How sad." The corner of Yun Lintian's mouth twitched. He chose to ignore Bai Qingyi and turned to Qin Yuran. "What are you guys doing here?" Lan Shuying spoke first. "You don't know. You have become famous all over the academy right now. Wang Ju has announced that you didn't dare to fight him and called you a coward. Everyone started saying you're overrated now. And they are saying you chose to enter the Moonlight Hall because you are afraid of being exposed that you're incompetent." Lan Shuying continued. Hearing this, Yun Lintian shrugged his shoulders carelessly. "Let them say whatever they want. I won't lose a piece of skin anyway. Are you going to let them trample your reputation like that? Lan Shuiying frowned slightly. Reputation? Sister Lan, you should know that I never care about it. It's best to let them forget about me sooner so I can have some peace. Yun Lintian gave a light chuckle. He then turned to Qin Yuren. Can you defeat this Wang Ju guy? Qin Yuren thought for a moment and replied. I should be able to win him as long as he doesn't use his bloodline's power. Yun Lintian smiled faintly and asked further. What about me? Can you defeat me? Qin Yuren answered in almost an instant. I can't. She had witnessed Yun Lintian's battle prowess before. In her opinion, it was impossible for her to beat him. Yun Lintian curled his lips and looked at Lan Shuiying. Now you know he's not my opponent. Why should I bother to pay attention to someone weaker than me? Lan Shuiying glared at Yun Lintian and said, I didn't know before that you are this arrogant. No, you're wrong, Sister Lan. This is called self-confident, and it's not a blind one. Yun Lintian raised his index finger and shook sideways. The real arrogant one should be this Wang Ju. He thought that he could beat me at ease, but in fact, he is just an ignorant idiot who overestimated himself. He didn't even know the depth of my strength, yet he kept jumping out like a clown. Such a person, do you think I should waste my time with him? Lan Shuiying was rendered speechless. She simply couldn't refute him and went silent. As for the reputation of my Moonlight Hall, it has never been good to begin with. There's nothing for me to change it unless my master told me to do. Yun Lintian said further, whatever. Lan Shuiying was annoyed by Yun Lintian's carefree attitude, but it was understandable. After all, what he said wasn't wrong. It was just that she felt uncomfortable seeing Wang Ju arrogantly taunting around. If she was strong enough, she would beat him herself by now. Yun Lintian smiled faintly and said nothing further. He naturally understood Lan Shuiying's mood, but he really didn't care about Wang Ju. His low-level taunt hadn't affected him in the slightest. It was nothing more than wasting his time paying attention to him. Bai Qingyi saw the atmosphere become strange. He hurriedly changed the topic. By the way, Brother Yun, which class do you attend? Forging art class, Yun Lintian replied. What about all of you? Bai Qingyi exchanged a glance with others and he replied, we're choosing the battle class. He paused for a second and continued, we're preparing to challenge the Maze Forest training ground. Do you want to go with us, Brother Yun? Yun Lintian's brows raised slightly. Before entering the academy, he was interested in these training grounds, but now he wasn't sure whether it could benefit him by clearing them. He thought for a moment and decided to give it a try. Perhaps he could earn something unexpectedly. Sure, you can notify me when you're ready. Bai Qingyi was overjoyed. His purpose in seeing Yun Lintian today was to invite him to join his group. He had mentally prepared for the rejection when he asked Yun Lintian this. Surprisingly, Yun Lintian had actually accepted his invitation. I'm curious. Can we challenge it as a team? I thought it's individually limited. Yun Lintian asked. Qin Yuyan was the first to reply. We can form a team to challenge the training ground together, but the record will be individual. I see. Yun Lintian nodded his head slowly. He looked at everyone and said, well, I will leave first, later. Following that, Yun Lintian left the Starry Mountain and headed back to Moonlight Peak right away. What a frightening lightning power. After Yun Lintian left the Moonlight Peak, Han Bingling and Lin Zixuan discussed the previous battle between Yun Lintian and Long Feiyin. They were amazed by Yun Lintian's overwhelming lightning power, and they believed it was even scarier than the Divine Thunder art of the Divine Thunder Palace. That tiger, Lin Zixuan looked at Han Bingling with doubt. This was the first time she saw Linlin showing her might. Han Bingling didn't answer directly, but instead told Lin Zixuan about the Thunder Valley incident. After listening to Han Bingling's narration, Lin Zixuan immediately figured out Linlin's possible true identity. It clearly caught her off guard as she didn't expect the legendary divine beast to stay near her for all this time. As expected from someone with Emperor Destiny, his luck is going against the sky. Lin Zixuan sighed in amazement. Indeed, Han Bingling nodded her head in agreement. We need to cover him as much as we can. I reckon so many people have already set their eyes on him. Lin Zixuan didn't say a word, but a flash of purple light in her eyes expressed everything. Master, I have something to report. At this moment, Murongzu walked into the bamboo hut. What is it? Lin Zixuan asked. Wang Ju is now slandering junior brother everywhere. Blame fourth sister for this. She's trying to push junior brother to the center of attention by sending out the challenge letter without his consent. Murongzu explained. Lin Zixuan didn't have any reaction. She merely responded with a light hum and said, since it's his problem, then let him solve it by himself. Murongzu was slightly surprised by Lin Zixuan's answer. Usually, her master would protect her sisters or at least show her concern, but Lin Zixuan's current reaction was entirely different from her expectation. Sorry, junior brother, looks like your second sister can't help you with this. Hee. Murongzu snickered in her heart and was looking forward to seeing how Yun Lintian would solve this problem. Another week passed by after Yun Lintian returned to Moonlight Peak. He began to resume his leisure life. He occasionally went to Tai Shan's class or visited the Heavenly Cloud restaurant to check on the Cloud Shadow team's progress. Since the last time Yun Lintian rescued the children from the Peng clan, the assassinations carried out by the Cloud Shadow team occurred everywhere throughout the Divine City. All the victims were undoubtedly the Peng clan's customers and those who committed unforgivable crimes on the captive children. Even though these people had powerful guards around them, they would still end up dead without them knowing. They were either died by a strange and untraceable poison or a powerful yet so secretive formation that popped up out of nowhere, completely catching them off guard. This incident soon had spread to every corner of the Divine City. Everyone could later connect the dots and figure out the relationship between the deaths and the explosion incident weeks ago, and those related to the Peng clan's underground business were completely frightened. Many of them even chose to escape from the Divine City directly. Of course, the Cloud Shadow team naturally did not let any of them go. They were later run into the traps that Yun Malin and Yun Lingwei had personally arranged outside the city and left this world forever. In the Peng clan's assembly hall, Peng Huang looked at the clamor between the clan elders with a gloomy expression. The current situation wasn't in favor of his clan at all. Several longtime business partners had withdrawn decisively from the field and left the Peng clan cold. Even though losing these incomes wouldn't affect his clan's foundation, the clan's prestige was inevitably reduced a lot. Peng Huang slammed his palm on the armrest, producing a loud clap as he bellowed, "Enough, this is not the time to quarrel. If you have the energy to come up with these useless arguments, why can't you think of any solution?" The clan elders immediately went silent, did not dare to utter a sound. Peng Huang's prestige in the clan was extremely high. Even if he made a mistake, the clan elders didn't dare to raise any dissatisfaction with him. They confronted each other earlier because they mainly wanted to escape from the responsibility. They simply didn't want to become a scapegoat on this matter. Peng Huang's gaze swept over everybody in the hall and said, "Now, let's talk about it. Any clue?" An old man with a wooden crane in his hand, sitting nearby Peng Huang, raised his doubt. "Patriarch, I discovered all the deaths had strength below the Saint Profound Realm. Meanwhile, those in the Saint Profound Realm and above are safe and sound until now. I think the enemy isn't as strong as we think." Another middle-aged man, second elder, who sat opposite the old man, added, "I agree with Great Elder. The enemy is obviously relying on formation and poison, not a single case that they confront head-on. As long as we tell them to pay attention to the situation around them more, I believe the enemy won't be able to kill anyone further." Peng Huang slowly nodded his head. He had also noticed this point, but the problem lied in the enemy's bizarre movement. They could erase their trace, disappearing from the scene like a ghost. Even the monarch he sent to monitor could not capture them. He couldn't think of any person with such a traceless movement technique. "Wait a minute, traceless movement technique," Peng Huang mumbled to himself. Peng Zhang, who sat on the right side of Peng Huang, clearly heard his father's mumble. He immediately said, "There's one such a person who can move without a trace." His words instantly attracted everyone's attention. Peng Zhang said slowly, "Yun Lintian." The clan elders glanced at each other with some doubts in their eyes. Although they had heard about this youth before, they hadn't personally witnessed his strength. What was more, if they remembered correctly, this youth had power at the peak of Origin Profound Realm. It was difficult to believe he could kill all of these people at ease by himself. Peng Huang slapped the armrest and said, "That's right, it's him." Great Elder stroked his beard and expressed his thoughts. "This young man possesses an unbelievable battle prowess. He could contend with the peak of the Saint Profound Practitioner while he was at the Origin Profound Realm. Looking at the entire Azure world, I don't think there's another person like him. It is nothing wrong with suspecting him." He paused for a moment and said further, "However, the assassinations had occurred in various locations almost at the same time. I'm afraid, no matter how powerful he is, he couldn't possibly launch these operations by himself." The other clan elders nodded their heads in agreement. All of them were genuine monarchs. They didn't think they could achieve what Yun Lintian did, unless the targets had gathered together. Otherwise, it was impossible. Peng Huang's brows knitted together. What Great Elder said seemed to make sense. Yun Lintian was a single person, after all. He couldn't possibly kill the targets at the same time, not to mention each one of them had either been poisoned or died by the killing formation. Even if Yun Lintian prepared all of this beforehand, it was still challenging to achieve. He turned to look at his son, waiting for his opinion. Peng Zhang had thought about this too, but his intuition told him Yun Lintian was behind this. He leaned back with a thoughtful expression and said, "What if he wasn't alone as we thought? We had clearly investigated the few people around him, but none of them seemed to have the same ability as his." Though that fat girl is a talented formation master, I don't think she could set up any saint-level formation in a short time. As for another girl with a black veil, she is certainly mysterious, but she's obviously weak. Last time our spy had secretly invaded her place and she didn't even notice about it. The second elder quickly said. Peng Zhang's eyes narrowed and uttered, "What if all of this is just a facade? Think about it. Yun Lintian himself is insanely powerful. Do all you really think his people are weak?" The second elder frowned in doubt. "Is it possible? I admit that they are talented, but I don't think they can fool us as you said." Peng Zhang smiled faintly. "Nothing is impossible. Have you ever thought there would be someone as talented as Yun Lintian?" The second elder went silent immediately. That was right. He had never thought before someone could fight the opponent with 2 realms higher than him, and this Yun Lintian had proven him wrong. Seeing the second elder was silent, Peng Zhang said further, "So if this is true, I believe everyone should understand the consequence, right?" Everyone in the hall glanced at each other and their faces turned ashen. It was hard to believe the entire clan had been fooled by an origin profound ant for all this time. "What should we do now?" one of the clan elders asked. Peng Zhang pondered for a moment and said, "We should pay attention to their movement closely. I believe they should have other members hiding in the dark. As long as we can grab their tails, we can start to eradicate all of them in one fell swoop." Peng Huang slapped the armrest and said loudly, "Arrange our best spies to stare at them. I want to know everything they did." "Yes, Patriarch." Everyone shouted in unison and quickly left the hall, leaving Peng Zhang and Peng Huang behind. "Are you confident, son?" After everyone left, Peng Huang turned to look at Peng Zhang. Peng Zhang shook his head. "I'm not sure either. We have tried to investigate his background for a long time now, but we can't find any clue. Clearly someone has covered him. I doubt Han Bingling could do this alone." "You mean?" Peng Huang frowned. Peng Zhang nodded. A strange light flashed across his eyes as he said, "There should be another person behind this. I'm more curious now. What secret this Yun Lintian has to make these people spare no effort to cover him?" "You're correct. There's someone secretly protecting him, and this person is not something we can handle." Suddenly, a male voice rang out from the hall entrance and a tall figure slowly walked in. The expressions of Peng Huang and Peng Zhang abruptly changed. They had clearly put up a powerful isolation barrier, yet this person could bypass it without them knowing. Both of them immediately released their aura, filling the entire hall with immense pressure. The newcomer was a young man with an extraordinary bearing. His face could be described as evilly handsome with narrowed eyes and sharp brows. Outwardly, he was cultured and refined, looking like a noble heir from an aristocrat clan. He leisurely fanned a white jade fan in his hand as he walked in without even squinting his eyes under Peng Huang and Peng Zhang's aura. "Who are you?" Peng Huang said coldly while observing this man. For some reason, he could not see through him at all. The man didn't say anything and calmly found a chair nearby to sit on before looking at Peng Zhang with a smile. "You're not bad. However, your talent is not enough if you want to enter our core group." Peng Zhang's brows raised slightly. "You've been sent here by the above," the man smiled gently. "My name is Yin Su. I'm here to take care of the mess." Peng Huang's complexion changed slightly and he quickly retracted his aura. He cupped his fists and said, "Welcome, young Master Yin, to visit my clan. Please forgive my rudeness earlier." Yin Su stopped fanning and replied, "It's fine, I'm not going to punish you or anything." He turned to look at Peng Zhang and asked, "Why don't you tell me more about this Yun Lintian?" "Honestly, before coming here, I don't believe such a talented individual exists in this world." Peng Zhang nodded and slowly narrated everything about Yun Lintian from the first day he entered the Divine City until the recent event. Listening to Peng Zhang's narration, Yin Su didn't even frown. Instead, he was becoming excited as if he had just discovered a peerless treasure. "Interesting," Yin Su said with a smile. Peng Huang hesitated briefly and finally said, "This person has to die. With his talent, I'm afraid he will become the biggest stump to us in the near future." Yin Su chuckled. "Isn't it obvious? He could destroy the old Lord Dragon Fallen is obvious proof of his capability. And his abnormal battle prowess isn't something people in this world can possess. I bet he is a descendant of a certain lord from the other worlds." Peng Huang and Peng Zhang looked at each other in shock. It wasn't that they hadn't thought about it before, but rather it was difficult to believe, and they simply had no clue about how the other worlds looked like. "Where's he now? I'll go check on him myself," Yin Su suddenly asked. "Young Master Yin, I'm afraid this is not a good idea," Peng Huang said with caution. Yin Su waved his hand. "I understand your worry, but he isn't capable enough to fight me." Following that, an overwhelmingly powerful aura slowly seeped out of his body, causing Peng Huang and Peng Zhang to suffocate. Especially Peng Huang. At first, he thought Yin Su was probably a high-level monarch at most, but from the aura he had released, he believed Yin Su was far stronger than him, who was already at the peak of the monarch profound realm. Peng Huang took a deep breath and hurriedly replied, "He's now staying in his restaurant. I'll give young Master Yin a position now." Yin Su received a trace of a spiritual message from Peng Huang. He then stood up and said, "You don't have to send someone to watch him. All of you need to do right now is prevent Han Bingling from interfering with my matter. As for that old dog Tian, I'll take care of him myself." "Understood, young Master Yin," Peng Huang and Peng Zhang said in unison. Yin Su smiled and walked out of the hall while leisurely fanning the fan. Everyone did a good job this time. In the study room, Yun Lintian put down a report in his hand and said to Yun Meilan and Yun Lingwei opposite him, "Now it's time for us to stay hidden. Tell our people to stop their actions and stay low for the time being." Yun Lingwei was puzzled. "Why, there are still a lot of them left. Are we going to let these beasts go?" Yun Lintian shook his head. "Certainly not. Then you," Yun Lingwei frowned in confusion. Yun Meilan suddenly interjected. "The Peng clan is suspecting us now. It's too risky to continue." Yun Lingwei looked at Yun Meilan with eyes widened open. "How? We did everything so cleanly," Yun Lintian explained. "It's true we didn't leave any trace behind. However, you shouldn't forget that our methods are too identical. They should notice by now we can't confront them head on. Which means we're actually weak, so if we continued further, it might be our loss instead." Yun Lingwei immediately realized this. That was indeed the case. If the enemy had figured this out, they would definitely make better preparation. By then, the Cloud Shadow team might suffer a severe loss. Yun Lintian said further, "If I guess correctly, we are the prime suspects in their eyes now." Yun Lingwei was puzzled once again. Yun Lintian leaned back and let out a sigh. "We are too high profile last time. You had shown your formation ability to the public. They should be able to connect the dots and trace them back to you. Meanwhile, that useless old man Tian is constantly promoting me everywhere. It would be a joke if the Peng clan didn't suspect me." Yun Lingwei slowly nodded her head. "What should we do now?" "Do nothing," Yun Lintian responded. "We should focus on practicing. I reckon the next battle between them and us will be the deciding battle, so it's better to raise our strength as fast as possible." He turned to Yun Meilan and said, "I'll trouble you to distribute resources to our people." Yun Meilan nodded her head without saying anything. "Knock, knock, headmaster, someone is looking for you." Suddenly, a knocking sound rang out in the door direction along with a female voice. Yun Lintian glanced at Yun Lingwei and Yun Meilan before letting the woman in. "Who is it?" Yun Lintian asked. The woman shook her head as she replied, "I don't know, headmaster. I had never seen him before. However, his strength is extremely terrifying. I cannot see through him." Every Cloud Shadow team member possessed a sharp perception and could roughly guess the target's strength. The woman before Yun Lintian was one of the best among them, but she had actually failed to perceive this mysterious guest's power. This showed the person wasn't ordinary and was likely to be the peak of the monarch profound practitioner. Yun Lintian frowned slightly and pondered who this person was. After a while, he said to the woman, "Arrange him the VIP box and serve the best food. I'll be there in a while. Let's not send our people in. You can arrange ordinary waitresses to do this." "Understood, headmaster." The woman bowed her head and walked out of the room. "What are you thinking?" Yun Lingwei asked. She couldn't guess this person's intention of coming here. Yun Lintian thought for a moment and said, "This person should be someone from the Peng clan." "What? They dare to send someone here?" Yun Lingwei asked in disbelief. Yun Lintian stood up and said, "I'll see him. Lingwei, stand by here. Wait for my signal and you can activate the formation. Meilan, contact Han Bingling, inviting her here and tell her I have something to talk with her." Yun Lingwei and Yun Meilan accepted the tasks readily and sent Yun Lintian out. When Yun Lintian arrived at the VIP box, he immediately saw a refined-looking man leisurely sipping a tea while admiring a painting hung on the wall. This man was naturally Yin Su. Yun Lintian secretly opened eyes of heaven and was immediately shocked inwardly. The amount of energy he saw in Yin Su was even more tremendous than Han Bingling. What was more, he didn't even hide abyssal energy, so confident. Yin Su turned to look at Yun Lintian with a harmless smile. "I've heard about you before. You are indeed talented." Calming himself down, Yun Lintian went to sit opposite Yin Su and responded, "My talent shouldn't be counted as a thing in front of you. Why don't you get to the point? What's your purpose in coming here?" Yin Su put the teacup down and replied with a smile, "To deal with you, of course. Don't you know that you've been in our ways recently?" Yun Lintian's heart skipped a beat. This was the first time he met the enemy in such a straightforward manner. He stared at Yin Su for a full minute before saying, "You're wrong. It wasn't me who was in your ways, but rather your Poison Valley was in my ways. Originally, I have nothing to do with you guys at all. It was that way until your people messed with me first." Yin Su laughed slightly. "So you are saying there's a chance for reconciliation between us? You can understand that way. However, I don't think you can afford my condition." Yun Lintian stared straight into Yin Su's eyes fearlessly. "Oh. Why don't you say it? Yin Su looked at Yun Lintian with great interest. Yun Lintian smiled. Get the hell out of this continent. The smile on Yin Su's face reduced a bit upon hearing this. He shook his head slightly. You're right. I can't agree with this condition. He paused for a moment and continued. I won't hide anything from you. We chose this northern continent because it is the weakest one out of the 5 continents, as long as we can occupy this place. We will have the strength to conquer other continents. Yun Lintian calmly took a sip of tea and said, then we can only meet each other on the battlefield. Yin Su chuckled. I'm curious, you're clearly not someone from this world. Why are you caring about this place so much? Yun Lintian was extremely shocked in his heart. How did he know? Although he was shocked, Yun Lintian didn't show it outside. He didn't answer but asked a question instead. What is your goal then, occupying all the resources and stood above humans? Yin Su shook his head. We don't have such a lowly ambition. However, I cannot tell you about it, at least not now. Both of them stared at each other silently for a while until Yin Su spoke first. What's your goal? What is my goal? Yun Lintian asked himself. When he first arrived in this world, he wanted to live a happy life with everyone in Misty Cloud sect. However, he knew well enough that was too ideal. If he wanted to achieve his dream, he had to first stand above everyone in this world. That was why he strived to become the best in the world. As for whether he could go back to Earth, it was too far away. Live peacefully with my people. Yun Lintian replied honestly. Yin Su smiled. That's quite a lofty goal. He took a sip of tea and continued. I'm sure you understand it. Even if you become the most powerful person in this world, you would never find peace. Yun Lintian didn't say anything. What Yin Su said was the truth. There was no eternal peace and forever wars. He understood this truth. However, being the most powerful person in the world and making people around him stronger was still the best way to achieve his goal. For some reason, Yun Lintian felt this Yin Su wasn't as bad as he thought. Sadly, they stood opposite each other. Let's say, why are you coming here today? You said you were going to deal with me, yet you keep talking here and there. Yun Lintian said calmly. Why are you so hurry? Yin Su laughed slightly. Shouldn't you wait for Han Bingling to come first? Yun Lintian's brows raised in surprise but soon relaxed. Since Yin Su came here, he was naturally confident in his own strength. As for how he knew about Han Bingling, it wasn't difficult to guess. It seems you're confident. I'm starting to curious now what position you are holding in Poison Valley. Yun Lintian secretly placed his hand on the jade transmission on his waist, preparing to send a signal to Yun Lingwei. Yin Su gave a meaningful smile, refusing to answer the question. At this moment, a bone-chilling aura suddenly covered the entire building, along with Han Bingling's figure appearing within the VIP box. Yin Su tilted his head slightly to look at Han Bingling and said, It's been a while, Palace Master Han. Yin Su, Han Bingling uttered coldly. Judging from their conversation, the two of them definitely knew each other. Yun Lintian's curiosity toward Yin Su had multiplied. Have a seat. Ignoring Han Bingling's aura, Yin Su made an inviting gesture. Han Bingling stared at Yin Su for a while before sitting beside Yun Lintian without retracting her aura. This Peng clan is certainly not a good thing. They can't even do their tasks properly. It is no wonder why they keep failing lately. Yin Su poured himself another cup of tea while speaking in a low voice as if he was talking to himself. Looks like your master couldn't stand still anymore, Han Bingling said with a cold smile. Yin Su sipped the tea and said, You're correct. Who would have expected a wild factor like little brother Yun to appear out of nowhere? He chuckled and motioned his chin toward Yun Lintian. You have to thank him, otherwise your northern continent would have been occupied by us now. Han Bingling did not refute and poured herself a cup of tea. No one knew what she was thinking at the moment. Suddenly, the door was opened, and a few waitresses walked in with various delicacies in their hands. They placed all of them on the table and respectfully left the room. Yun Lintian looked at Yin Su and said, Do you want to try our delicacies? Sure. Yin Su smiled and picked chopsticks up, starting to eat. Yun Lintian and Han Bingling didn't stand idle and picked their chopsticks up. The atmosphere in the room was strangely calm. However, everyone knew this was the calm before the storm. After eating heartily, Yin Su put the chopsticks down and said, Good meal. Yun Lintian drank a mouthful of tea and said, Shall we do exercise after a meal? Yin Su glanced at Han Bingling with a grin and said, Sure. But all of a sudden, the formation's barrier instantly covered the entire building, and countless sword lights gradually appeared in the air, pointing at Yin Su. Yin Su glanced upward and said, Good formation. His eyes narrowed slightly, but it's not enough to hold me. Instantaneously, a powerful aura burst out of Yin Su's body, and the sword lights around the building entirely dissipated as if nothing had happened before. On the outside, Yun Lingwei and Yun Meilan glanced at each other with solemn expressions as they saw this scene. Yin Su was undoubtedly the most powerful enemy they had ever encountered. As they were about to move, Yun Lintian's voice suddenly rang out in their minds. Don't move further. He won't do anything to us today. Yun Lingwei looked at Yun Malin in confusion. What did he mean? Underneath the black veil, a frown appeared on Yun Malin's face. She didn't understand this as well. In the room, Han Bingling's aura had also burst out, instantly turning everything into an ice field. You shouldn't come here, Han Bingling uttered before waving her hand. Her eyes immediately glowed in blue ice light, and a moon-shaped symbol suddenly emerged between her brows. Yin Su laughed and responded, "Relax. It's not the time for us to fight." He turned to look at Yun Lintian and said, "We'll meet again." Following that, his figure started to blur and blended into the environment as if he was about to disappear. "Who let you go?" Han Bingling thundered. Her piercing cold aura seemed to form into a sharp ice lance, shooting toward Yin Su mercilessly. A playful grin appeared at the corner of Yin Su's mouth. His figure had entirely disappeared from the spot, causing Han Bingling's attack to miss the target and directly blasted the wall away. HMPH, Han Bingling snorted coldly and was about to chase after Yin Su. However, she was stopped by Yun Lintian's hand. No need to follow him, he came prepared. You won't be able to catch him no matter what. Yun Lintian expressed his thoughts. Although this was the first time he met Yin Su's strength and boundless confidence gave Yun Lintian a general idea about him. This person was extremely clever. It would be a joke if he was easily caught by Han Bingling after showing himself openly like this. Han Bingling retracted her aura, and the frosts in the room gradually disappeared, leaving a trace of water behind. "Listened to you earlier, you seem familiar with him?" Yun Lintian asked. A killing intent flashed across Han Bingling's eyes as she said, "He's a beloved disciple of Shadow Sovereign, one of the 4 generals of Poison Valley." Shadow Sovereign. 4 generals? Yun Lintian repeated with curiosity. "In fact, I don't know much about them. It was Principal Tian who told me." Han Bingling said, "Poison Valley has a hierarchy similar to a sect. Poison Valley Master is standing on the top, and below him are 2 lords and 4 generals. The true identity of Poison Valley Master and 2 lords are still unknown to us until now." "How did Principal Tian know about it?" Yun Lintian pointed out. "From the record passed down by Lord Sky Throne," Han Bingling replied. Yun Lintian touched his chin with a thoughtful expression. This was the first time he came into contact with the upper echelons of Poison Valley and felt he had been underestimated them for all this time. His current preparation was clearly not enough. It seemed he had to find a way to speed up the overall strength of Misty Cloud's sect soon. "Let's talk about Yin Su." "What is he?" Yun Lintian didn't understand how Yin Su left under Han Bingling's aura so easily. Although he was far stronger than Han Bingling, he should at least be affected by Han Bingling's pressure. "He's a shadow demon," Han Bingling said. A trace of hatred could be heard in her voice. Shadow demon. Yun Lintian searched for the relevant information related to shadow demon in his mind, but he couldn't find anything. "It's kind of profound beast that proficient in a shadow movement," Han Bingling said as she looked at Yun Lintian. "Speaking of this, his movement is similar to yours." Yun Lintian frowned and recalled Yin Su's action earlier. He was certain the principle between his shadow step and Yin Su's shadow movement was entirely different. While shadow step relied solely on a shadow and was an instant movement technique, Yin Su's action was more similar to a chameleon's disguise technique. He shook his head. "I don't think so." Han Bingling nodded her head slowly and said, "If you want to know more, just go visit Principal Tian." Yin Su's appearance reminds us that Poison Valley is about to make a new move. And this time it will be something bigger than before. My frozen moon palace might not be able to resist it alone. Yun Lintian went silent for a moment before asking, "Have you ever thought what is the real purpose of Poison Valley?" Han Bingling's eyebrows creased together. "What did he say to you?" Yun Lintian shook his head. "Nothing. I feel like their purpose is not simply as stomping us humans." Han Bingling took a deep look at Yun Lintian and said, "No matter what purpose they have, we cannot live with them." Yun Lintian didn't react to her word and decided to keep this matter to himself for now. "Right, my people had discovered a strange spatial fluctuation on the frozen moon mythical realm's entrance. It is likely to open earlier than before. You should prepare yourself to enter at any time." Han Bingling changed the topic. "Really? That's good." Yun Lintian was overjoyed. He couldn't wait to enter anymore. "I'll leave first. There are a lot of things I need to prepare. Be careful of Yin Su," Han Bingling said before disappearing from the room. Afterward, Yun Lintian quickly called Yun Lingwei and Yun Malin in. "From today onward, we will focus on training. I'll send you back to the land of beyond heaven later." Yun Lingwei and Yun Malin nodded solemnly. They had witnessed Yin Su's might earlier and realized how weak they were. "I leave this place for you," Yun Lintian said to Yun Lingwei and went to the study room to pick Linlin before heading back to Moonlight Peak. Another week passed by quickly. During this week, Yun Lintian was paying attention to Yin Su's whereabouts and his true purpose in coming here. However, Yin Su seemed to disappear from this world since they met. This made Yun Linchen curious about what exactly Yin Su wanted to do. Naturally, Yin Su's appearance had alarmed Principal Tian and the other three clans. They seemed to foresee the upcoming fierce battle and started to prepare for the worst. Instantly, the atmosphere within the divine city turned strange. Everyone could feel invisible pressure cover the entire city like a morning haze. Those who possessed a sharp perception and connection seemed to be aware something was about to happen. They decisively left the divine city without looking back. At this moment, Yun Linchen was standing calmly in front of the Forest Maze Training Grounds entrance and looked at several students discussing the strategy. Brother Yun. We are ready now. Bai Qingyi walked to Yun Linchen's side and said. Yun Linchen turned to look at Bai Qingyi and glanced toward a group of people behind him. Currently, Qin Yuran, Qin Yuyan, Chu Heng, Chu Mi, Lan Shuying, Yang Chen, and Yi Xiaolong were checking their equipment carefully for one last time before entering the training ground. Yun Linchen nodded and said, "All right, let's go." Following that, Yun Linchen walked toward the stone gate under the gaze of other students nearby. Thanks to Wang Ju's rampantly slandering Yun Linchen now, everyone could recognize him at a glance. They were looking forward to seeing Yun Linchen's performance. Isn't that Yun Linchen who is famous recently? Famous? Yeah, famous for being a coward, hee. As Yun Linchen passed by, he could clearly hear mocking discussions among the students, but he couldn't care less about them. However, it didn't mean people around Yun Linchen could endure it, especially Yang Chen. He looked at the group of students coldly and said, "All of you should shut your mouth." Yang Chen's aura was extremely sharp, causing the students to shudder. However, after discovering Yang Chen was only at the 5th level of Origin Profound Realm, they became confident again and even started to mock him. "What is this, trying to protect your master? Haha. Where can I find such a loyal dog like this?" Yang Chen was so angry and was about to make a move, but he was stopped by Yun Linchen. "They are not worthy of our attention," Yun Linchen said. His gaze swept over the students who were speaking earlier as though he wanted to remember their faces. Afterward, he walked straight to the forest maze entrance with his group. Arriving before the stone gate, Yun Linchen glanced at Yang Chen and asked, "Are you sure you want to go in?" Yang Chen replied firmly, "Don't worry, Brother Yun. Although my injuries aren't fully recovering yet, going through this training ground shouldn't be a problem. Moreover, I heard there's no danger in this training ground." Yun Linchen didn't insist further. After exchanging a few words with his group, Yun Linchen took out his student token and pressed it against a rectangle plate on the stone gate. In the next moment, the stone gate slowly opened, revealing a light blue spatial swirl behind it. The entrance was similar to the mythical realm entrance Yun Linchen had seen before. However, this one he could feel a steady stream of spatial elements flowing without any sign of collapsing halfway, which meant this entrance was highly stable and there shouldn't be any danger going through it. Seeing this, Yun Linchen didn't hesitate to step forward, vanishing into the blue light swirl. Yang Chen and others were also quickly followed in. After Yun Linchen's group entered, Wang Ju's figure slowly walked into the training ground area with a few people followed behind. His appearance immediately caused a commotion among the students. They were looking forward to seeing a good show. Did he just enter? Wang Ju stopped his track and asked a male student nearby the entrance. The male student, of course, knew who was he Wang Ju was talking about. He hurriedly replied. He had entered with his group earlier. Wang Ju curled his lips and said to a masculine man with a giant broadsword beside him, "Look like we are going to have a great time soon." The masculine man grinned evilly. His name was Kaiksheng, a talented youngster that chose to follow Wang Ju because the latter could give him the resources he needed. On the side, a seductive woman wearing a shoulder-revealed fiery red robe smiled charmingly. Her ample breast was attracted many young men around here, preventing them from looking elsewhere. She pursed her lips while fanning an exquisite jade fan in her hand and said, "I really want to see this person. To make young Master Wang paying attention to him, he should be extraordinary, right? Extraordinary. Ha, if he's truly extraordinary, as you said, he won't keep hiding like a street rat until now. I say, Li Na, are you sure you aren't fascinated by his appearance?" Behind them, a thin man with a weird symbol on his forehead sneered disdainfully. His name was Zhou Hang, a talented formation master under Wang Ju's wings. The seductive woman Li Na licked her lips and said, "Come to think of it, it might be so, hee. Wang Ju waved his hand impatiently. "Don't underestimate him, he's more than what you think, let's go." Following that, he quickly entered the forest maze training ground. The other three glanced at each other and followed behind. After the blue light faded from Yun Linchen's vision, he immediately found himself standing in a dense forest with countless towering ancient trees forming into a giant wall surrounding him. His first impression was this place didn't look like a forest, but rather a fortress. However, he could see a few long pathways leading to the unknown when he looked closely. It was at this time he understood why this place was called Forest Maze. Yun Lintian looked upward, but he didn't see the sky as it was completely blocked out by the trees. He started to wonder how Jiang Yingyu cleared this place within 2 days and 5 hours. As Yun Lintian was about to use his eyes of heaven to check on it, the transmission jade on his waist was shining, and he quickly picked it up. "Brother Yun, beware of Wang Ju's team. I just met one of them earlier." Bai Qingyi's voice rang out from the other side. Yun Lintian frowned and asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Luckily, the maze had changed its pattern timely when I was about to fight with him. Bai Qingyi said with relief. The person he met earlier was Kaixing. He was certain this Kaixing wasn't ordinary, judging by his aura. He couldn't guarantee the outcome if the battle broke out. "That's good. What do you mean, changing the pattern?" Yun Lintian asked curiously. "The forest here will keep changing its pattern every 5 minutes. Right now, we are standing in the outermost circle. Brother Yun has to find a way to enter the second circle as fast as you can. When you reach there, the pattern changing will be slower. It will be on every 10 minutes, and this will continue to increase as long as you enter the further circle," Bai Qingyi explained. "I see." Yun Lintian looked around and saw the trees were actually moving all the time. It was just that he didn't notice before. Yun Lintian put this matter aside and asked, "By the way, can we kill someone here? Is there any punishment when going out?" Bai Qingyi replied, "It is almost impossible to kill someone here. The moment we entered this place, our vital signs were already bound with our tokens. As long as we face a life-threatening danger, we would be sent out right away just by communicating with the token. So unless Brother Yun can kill the enemy in one shot without them knowing, it shouldn't be a problem. There was this case happened before." Yun Lintian took out the student token and looked at it carefully. He soon discovered a trace of a spatial element on it, and it seemed to be bound with his life sign, as Bai Qingyi said. "Interesting." An idea suddenly flashed across Yun Lintian's mind. What if I make this kind of token for the Cloud Shadow team? In the future, they could use it to escape into the land of beyond heaven whenever they are in danger. Certainly, I need to prevent others from using them. Yun Lintian put the token away and said to Bai Qingyi, "Thank you for telling me this. Please notify everyone to be careful. Tell them to leave this place right away when encountering Wang Ju's people. There's no need to take the risk." "Understood," Bai Qingyi responded and hung up the connection. Yun Lintian looked around briefly and opened eyes of heaven. Immediately, he saw tremendous energy traveling on the floor, more precisely on the bottom of the trees. It was like a tidal wave coming from time to time. And when it was rising, the trees would start to move. If one hadn't paid attention to the trees closely, one wouldn't notice any movement of them. A moment later, Yun Lintian actually saw a few formation nodes hiding beneath the trees. When he looked closely, the runes on these formation nodes were extremely ancient. If he remembered correctly, this inscribing method was trendy 3,000 years ago, as he had seen it within the Blazing Sun mythical realm. Therefore, Yun Lintian concluded that this place should be created along with the academy. Whether it was Lord Sky Throne who made it as people said, Yun Lintian wasn't sure about it. Yun Lintian stared at the energy flow on the ground while walking around for a long time. A smile slowly appeared on his face as he seemed to figure out the secret behind this place. The energy would always flow in one direction, and this direction should lead to the center area, which was the final goal. Yun Lintian believed this was why Jiang Yingyu could clear this training ground so fast. After all, her perception was extremely keen. Perceiving the energy flow was easy for her. Realizing this, Yun Lintian waited for the tree's pattern to change before moving along the energy flow in the ground. An hour later, Yun Lintian arrived safely at the second ring without effort. There was nothing different from the outermost ring here. Except for a few noticeable traps, everything was exactly the same. Everyone be careful when you reach the second ring. There are a lot of traps here, however they aren't that dangerous. I believe all of you can deal with them with no problem. Yun Lintian sent a message to his group and moved toward the third ring. Under the eyes of heaven, these small traps were rendered useless. Yun Lintian could travel freely without care. My, look at who I found." All of a sudden, a charming female voice resounded from behind Yun Lintian, causing him to abruptly turn around and raise his guard up. The owner of this voice was no other than Li Na, who had just arrived at the second ring. Her appearance made Yun Lintian frown slightly and wondered how did she make it here this fast. Her speed wasn't inferior to him, who possessed eyes of heaven. Were there other secrets I didn't know? Li Na fanned her fan leisurely and walked toward Yun Lintian. Her walking posture was exceptionally charming as her hips swayed sidewards, showing her glamorous curves. If it wasn't because Yun Lintian discovered a trace of mental power leaking from her body, he would definitely enjoy this feast of eyes without worry by now. "Greetings, handsome brother Yun. This girl is Li Na. I wonder, will I have a chance to make an in-depth exchange with you? Li Na's voice was unusually seductive, making Yun Lintian's body heat up slightly. Yun Lintian saw through her attack with a glance, but he didn't intend to expose her. A wretched grin immediately appeared at the corner of his mouth as he said, Tusk, 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 I didn't expect to meet such a quality girl in this place. What did you say again? You want to perform an in-depth exchange with me? Hee hee, come on girl, let's start it now. Seeing Yun Lintian's eyes were full of lust, Li Na smiled contemptuously inwardly. She didn't expect the so-called heaven-defying genius Yun Lintian would be so easy to manipulate. Li Na was proficient in the art of seduction, as she was born in a famous dancing hall in the central continent, Red Lotus Dancing Hall. Perhaps because she was born over there, she was always looking down on everyone in the northern continent. If it was on the modern Earth, she would be similar to someone who looked down on the countryside men. Li Na licked her lips as she approached Yun Lintian. A strong mental power was constantly emitting from her body, entirely shrouding around Yun Lintian. Hee hee, why are you so hurry, handsome brother Yun? We have all the time here. Yun Lintian didn't say a word and strode forward impatiently. His face was full of lust while he stared at Li Na's snow-white ample breast as if he couldn't wait to tear her robe down and grope on that mound. The smile on Li Na's lips grew wider when she saw this scene. Now, she was certain Yun Lintian had fallen entirely into her spell. She noticed his gaze and slowly put her arms around her breast, highlighting their shape, and said, Want to touch it? Yun Lintian's gaze had never left Li Na's chest area as he approached her. A wretched smile on his face stretched wider when he heard her tempting words. Yes, can I? His voice was obviously expressing all the desires he had toward her. A cold glint flashed across Li Na's eyes while a sneer emerged at the corner of her alluring lips. Her heart was full of disdain, looking down on Yun Lintian to the core. She adjusted her posture by leaning forward slightly, exposing more of her ample breast that almost burst out of her tight robe. Come, you can touch as much as you want. Yun Lintian could smell a strong fragrance emitting from Li Na's body. It immediately ignited the fire in his body. At the same time, the mental power in her voice was rising tremendously, aiming at his soul. Unfortunately, Li Na didn't know that her opponent's soul was ridiculously powerful compared to an average practitioner. Her mental attack was basically useless against him. Yun Lintian pretended to be dazed by Li Na's attack and stood dumbly on the spot. There was even a drool leaking from his mouth. It was as if he had turned stupid all of a sudden. Seeing this, Li Na covered her mouth and laughed triumphantly. She believed she had already secured the win in this battle. She drew closer to the dazed Yun Lintian while saying, Hee hee, the so-called genius is only this much. I thought you would give me some exciting fights. Staring at Yun Lintian's handsome face, Li Na curled her lips and stretched her slender finger out to trace on his cheek. At the same time, she leaned forward gently. She used another hand to hook up his neck, drawing her face up close to his ears, and licked it gently as if she was savoring the world's best delicacy. At this moment, Yun Lintian was trying hard to suppress the fire in his body. The hot breath that blew gently against his face, along with a unique flowery fragrance, caused him to almost lose his mind. Since Yun Lintian came to this world, he didn't express much about his sexual desire, even though he lived with several heavenly beauties like Yun Xianxia, Yun Malin, and Yun Ruiniu. Later, when he met Han Bingling and Lin Xiniao, he admitted he desired to take them down, but his rationale had reminded him the romantic relationship in this world was entirely different from Earth. Yun Lintian often saw the situation in the novels where the female lead deadly set her heart on the male lead, and it lasted forever. Although Yun Lintian hadn't personally experienced himself, it was likely to be the case from his observation. Looked at Yun Xianxia, for example. Because of this, he didn't dare to enter the romantic relationship easily, as he wasn't ready to take responsibility for anyone, at least not when he was still weak like this. He didn't want his partner to become his weakness. Li Na's current action undoubtedly provoked the evil desire Yun Lintian suppressed for many years. Hearing her words, Yun Lintian sneered inwardly and vowed he would give her an exciting fight she wanted soon. Li Na slowly traced her finger down to Yun Lintian's neck and went further to his chest, abdomen, until reaching his root that was currently hard as iron. A trace of surprise appeared in Li Na's eyes when she perceived the size. She smiled charmingly and said, I didn't expect you to have this powerful weapon. Hee hee, it would be a pity to kill you like this. Following that, she pried her hand into Yun Lintian's robe and stroked his powerful abs a few times before slowly guiding her hand down to his vital spot. Meanwhile, she stuck her tongue out and licked his cheek, passing down to his neck, and paused on that spot. Yun Lintian's eyes gleamed with a cold light as he perceived Li Na's intention. This woman was not only proficient in the art of seduction, but also practiced an evil, profound art that used men's yang energy to increase her own strength. The moment Li Na started to molest him, Yun Lintian could feel a strangely cold aura seeping into his body and quickly looking for his yang energy. He knew he could no longer pretend to be dumb and had to take action now before she could draw a portion of his energy away. Li Na was currently immersed in her own fantasy while stroking a certain part of Yun Lintian's body greedily as if she couldn't wait to pump something out. She was completely unaware of the change in Yun Lintian's hand. 4 silver needles had silently appeared in it. Swoosh! All of a sudden, Yun Lintian sent the 4 silver needles to catch Li Na off guard and completely sealed her origin core, preventing her from utilizing her profound energy. At the same time, he swiftly turned around to stand behind Li Na and used his left hand to tear her robe away while locking her waist with his other hand. Ah! Li Na immediately exclaimed in horror at the sudden change. She didn't expect this stupid Yun Lintian to get rid of her seduction art. She was even more frightened after discovering her origin core had been sealed entirely. Without a doubt, her fate was now totally in Yun Lintian's hand. Tusk, 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 it's quite bouncy as expected. Yun Lintian's right hand circled around Li Na's bountiful mound and squeezed it a few times. Bastard, Li Na cursed with her face flushed red in anger. She was furious at Yun Lintian and herself for underestimating him greatly. How is it? Is it exciting enough? Yun Lintian asked playfully while skillfully teasing Li Na's pinkish tip of the mound. Ah, Li Na moaned softly but quickly gritted her teeth, unwilling to let out another sound further. Her eyes turned cold as she said, "You better let me go, otherwise what? Do you think your threat is useful here?" Yun Lintian chuckled. He used his profound energy to seal Li Na's movement and slowly traced his hand that was placed on her waist, slipping into her skirt and going toward her private spot. "You've played with my little brother for all this time. Don't you think it's my turn to check on your little sister now?" Li Na's face turned pale in fright. Although she was practicing the art of seduction, she had never let any men touch her body before, let alone experiencing a man and woman activity. However, the moment Yun Lintian's rough hand touched her private spot, she felt as though she were being electrocuted. She had never felt anything like this before. This feeling was strange and oddly satisfied. Yun Lintian's hands circled on both the top and bottom parts of Li Na's body while using his spiritual sense to examine her. As a doctor, Yun Lintian had long discovered Li Na was still a virgin, which made him confused a little. Counting the nature of the profound art she was practicing, it was difficult to believe she could remain her virginity until now. "I didn't expect you are still a virgin. Hee, that's good. It seems my luck is not bad." Yun Lintian moved his face closer to her ears and whispered softly. Feeling Yun Lintian's hot breath, Li Na felt her body was softened all over and slowly leaned backward in Yun Lintian's embrace, letting him knead freely. "Be bastard, let go of me." Li Na tried her best to utter these words while panting heavily. "Are you sure you want me to let you go? Your body clearly says otherwise." Yun Lintian grinned and slowly inserted one of his fingers into a specific passage. His sudden attack made Li Na involuntarily let out a charming moan. Li Na's mind instantly went blank, unable to think of anything properly. Her entire focus was on the foreign experience she had never had before. Each time Yun Lintian moved his finger back and forth, a portion of slippery liquid would gush out along with it, followed by Li Na's blissful moan. "Feels good," Yun Lintian's voice immediately brought Li Na to her sense. Her face flushed with shame and anger. She couldn't believe she actually enjoyed it a bit earlier. At this moment, Li Na suddenly thought of the student token. Her mind quickly moved, connecting with the token and activating its return function. With a buzz, her entire body was instantly shrouded in white light, causing Yun Lintian to let her go and move backward. "Yun Lintian, I will definitely make you pay for this." Li Na's furious voice resounded before her figure entirely disappeared from the place. "Damn it, I forgot about it." Yun Lintian cursed to himself. He totally forgot about the student token. Although he had sealed Li Na's origin core, she could still use her spiritual sense as he had deliberately left her soul gate out in order to make her feel what he did to her. Yun Lintian let out a sigh and looked at his hand full of slippery, transparent liquid. He could smell a faint, unique woman's scent lingering in the air, and it somehow provoked his desire once again, but he managed to suppress it in the end. Thankfully, she's not an underage girl. Yun Lintian laughed slightly and took out a bucket of water to clean his hands, as well as Li Na's scent on his body. "Ah, I forgot to ask her, how did she arrive here so fast?" At this moment, Yun Lintian remembered he missed out on so many things from Li Na. Sure enough, horny never show mercy. It can turn you into an idiot. Bang! On the outside of the training ground, Li Na's figure appeared out of thin air and fell onto the ground heavily. Her current appearance was messy, half exposing her top, and her skirt was also lifted up, revealing her snow-white thighs. The students that gathered nearby the entrance were dumbfounded upon seeing Li Na. Their eyes were glued on her exposed skins, unable to move elsewhere. Some of them even swallowed their saliva and greedily memorized this heavenly scene in front of them in case it might come in handy on a lonely night. Some even went further by recording Li Na's shameful appearance with their profound imaginary stones. Perhaps they could sell this for money later. Li Na's origin core was still being sealed by Yun Lintian. She couldn't use her profound energy to adjust her clothes and could only do it with her hand. She glared at the nearby students and spat. "What are you looking at? Believe it or not, I will gauge your eyes out." Scram! The students regained their senses and hurriedly turned their heads away. Lena turned to look at the forest maze entrance, gnashing her teeth with hatred before leaving the place in a huff under the students' greedy gaze. She swore she must make Yun Lintian pay the price the next time they met. Boom! Somewhere in the outermost ring of the forest maze, a fierce battle broke out between Yang Chen and Kaixing. While Yang Chen produced several sword shadows to attack Kaixing, the latter could easily sweep them away with his giant broadsword. This was the first time Yang Chen encountered someone on his peers who could actually repel his sword intent in this simple manner. Not bad as expected from Yun Lintian's #1 underling. After sweeping Yang Chen's sword shadows away, Kaixing rested the broadsword on his masculine shoulder. He stared at Yang Chen with an evil grin. "So you are Wang Ju's lackey?" Yang Chen shook his sword slightly and asked. His face was solemn as he discovered the opponent wasn't easy this time, not to mention his injuries weren't fully recovering yet. Kaixing shook his head. No, you've misunderstood me. I'm not his lackey. Our relationship is based on mutual benefit. He gives me the resources I need, and I offer him my hand to do some chores for him." Heh. Quibble? Yang Chen let out a disdained snort. "No matter how good reason you come up with, you're nothing but Wang Ju's lackey in the end." Kaixing shrugged his shoulders. Whatever, he brought his broadsword down and pointed it at Yang Chen. "Let's fight." Meanwhile, Yang Chen gripped his sword tightly and pointed it at Kaixing. "Come on." Ha! Kaixing stomped on the ground and dashed toward Yang Chen with full force. His speed was surprisingly high despite the fact he was wielding a few hundred kilograms broadsword. Yang Chen drew his sword close to his chest, and his aura suddenly expanded explosively along with a burst of crimson flame coming out of his body. A split second later, Yang Chen abruptly ran forward to face Kaixing head-on, and he sent a fierce flame slash crashing forward. Kaixing's eyes narrowed as he perceived the lethality within the incoming slash. Instead of taking a defensive stance, Kaixing swiftly swung his broadsword down at Yang Chen. His swing carried an incomparably tyrannical power, cutting through the air and slamming down on Yang Chen's sword. Boom! An immense explosion ripped through the air, sending Yang Chen to fly away several meters before landing safely. His expression turned grimed as his right hand completely lost all sensation. At this moment, Yang Chen was certain Kaixing was a body practitioner. He could see the latter's last attack mostly came from his brute strength. By enhancing it with profound energy, his power would be easily doubled. There was no way Yang Chen could compete with his head-on further. "It seems your injuries haven't recovered yet. What a pity. I'd like your true power before sending you on the road." Kaixing waved his broadsword to shake the trace of crimson flame off while grinning at Yang Chen. Because his injuries were mainly on his soul, Yang Chen simply could not use his spiritual sword intent, let alone his ultimate move, Blazing Sun's spiritual sword. This left him with some ordinary means, and they were obviously not enough to defeat Kaixing. If it was Yun Lintian, he would definitely choose to run in this situation. After all, there was no trump card left to play. However, Yang Chen was different. As someone possessed Sun Overlord Profound Vein, his pride did not allow him to turn away from the battle, even if it meant his life would be over. "You are strong," Yang Chen said sincerely. He took a deep breath, drew his sword to his front, and continued. "However, it is not enough to kill me." All of a sudden, the surrounding temperature rose sharply. Countless flame sparks appeared in the air, turning the surrounding area into crimson. Every grass and tree nearby was instantly ignited, transforming into torches. At the same time, Yang Chen's spiritual sense quickly spread out like a sharp sword storm, surrounding Kaixing as well as his retreat routes. His gaze firmly locked on his opponent as he uttered, "Blazing Sun's spiritual sword intent." Kaixing's complexion turned serious for the first time. Before coming here, he had carefully studied everyone around Yun Lintian. According to the information he got, Yang Chen was a talented sword practitioner, but no one knew which realm he had achieved. In his opinion, no matter how talented Yang Chen was, it was impossible for him to reach the spiritual realm. After all, he was only 18 years old. Wrong, everyone had guessed it wrong. These words echoed in Kaixing's mind. He hastily gripped his broadsword and rushed toward Yang Chen at full speed. All the muscles were bulged up. His entire body seemed to transform into a giant bear, releasing a brutal aura. Yang Chen seemed to expect this move from Kaixing beforehand. His mind immediately moved, and the flame sparks nearby him suddenly condensed into a terrifying flame sword, storming toward Kaixing. The flying flame swords were highly flexible. No matter how Kaixing tried to sweep them out with his sword, they nimbly avoided his swing then and there. This caused Kaixing to frustrate, puff, puff. Yang Chen's spiritual flame swords managed to cut Kaixing's flesh from time to time. Before Kaixing could reach Yang Chen's position, his body was already soaked in blood. Dai Kaixing's face turned hideous as he swung his broadsword down on Yang Chen's head. Boom, crimson light suddenly emerged on Yang Chen's eyes. His figure blurred slightly and vanished from the spot, causing Kaixing's attack to miss the target. Yang Chen's figure reappeared in the distance, far away from Kaixing. His face was pale as a white sheet, and blood could be seen flowing out of his nose. This was the result of mental power overdrawn. Yang Chen knew he could not last long, and he had to finish Kaixing as soon as possible. Instantaneously, he commanded all the spiritual flame swords in this area to form into a sword rain, madly bombarding Kaixing. Puff, puff. Kaixing tried his best to avoid the rain of flame swords, but it seemed impossible. One after another, the flame swords ruthlessly pierced into his body and constantly burned him. Even if Kaixing's body was incomparably sturdy, he couldn't help scream painfully, facing this lethal attack. Arg, Kaixing's current appearance was miserable beyond words. His body had already turned into a human torch, with the crimson flame burning vigorously. Seeing this scene, Yang Chen didn't feel at ease. He didn't dare to underestimate Kaixing in the slightest. He gritted his teeth and kept controlling the flame swords to attack Kaixing, aiming to finish him. Unfortunately, Yang Chen's injuries were suddenly acted up at this critical moment. He coughed out fresh blood, and his mind began to blur. This sudden change gave Kaixing a chance to recover. He roared furiously as he stomped on the ground before charging at Yang Chen with murderous intent. Yang Chen shook his head vigorously, trying to regain the clarity, but his injuries were too severe. He was unable to focus properly. His consciousness started to fade into darkness. Am I going to die here? This question popped up in Yang Chen's mind along with Yang Mingli, and Hua Wanru's silhouettes emerged in the depth of his soul. A savage grin appeared on Kaixing's face when he noticed Yang Chen's condition. His confidence soared to the sky, boosting his speed further. Rumble, all of a sudden, the entire forest abruptly shook, and the tree walls began to move, changing their pattern. No, Kaixing's complexion was unsightly seeing this scene. The change of the tree walls was extremely fast and happened to separate him and Yang Chen, causing him to miss the best chance to finish his opponent. With a bang, the tree walls completely closed the path before Kaixing could reach Yang Chen. Damn it! Kaixing furiously smashed the tree wall in front of him a few times to vent his anger. After calming down, Kaixing sat on the ground and examined his injuries. The more he looked at his injuries, the angrier he became. They seemed to become a symbol of shame, reminding him of his failure. On the other side of the tree wall, Yang Chen was relieved. Looked like the goddess of luck was still on his side. He quickly used the last bit of his consciousness to contact Yun Lintian before fainting, lying motionless on the ground. At this moment, somewhere on the second ring, Yun Lintian was leisurely following the energy flow on the ground. He didn't seem to hurry to clear this training ground at all. Buzz, suddenly, the transmission jade on Yun Lintian's waist shone, and he swiftly picked it up. Brother Yun, I met a terrifying opponent. He's Wang Ju's underling. Please be careful. Yang Chen's voice immediately rang out from the other side as soon as he picked it up. Yun Lintian frowned slightly. How are you now? Judging from Yang Chen's voice, he believed his current condition was not good. He must be badly injured by the opponent. Waiting for a while, Yun Lintian didn't receive any response from Yang Chen. His heart gradually turned cold, and he hoped nothing terrible happened to Yang Chen. Wang Ju, a cold glint flashed in Yun Lintian's eyes. Now he wished he could meet this guy here. He didn't want to pay attention to this clown, but it seemed impossible now. Next, Yun Lintian sent a sound transmission to his group. Everyone pays attention to Wang Ju's whereabouts. If you see him or his people, please tell me directly. Also, please look for Yang Chen in case he hasn't left this place yet. He has been injured by Wang Ju's men earlier. Without waiting for others to reply, Yun Lintian put the transmission jade away and directly went toward the third ring. He decided to wait for Wang Ju at the end of the training grounds. While Yun Lintian was heading to the third ring, Qin Yuren, who had just received Yun Lintian's message, was looking at the thin man in front of her. This person was no other than Zhou Hang, another Wang Ju's people. You are Qin Yuren. I heard your name before. What did those trashes say about you again? Zhou Hang deliberately made a frowning face before snapping his fingers. That's right, I remember it now. They regard you as the most dazzling genius in this generation. Hee hee, this is so funny. You know what, to me, you are just better trash among trashes. While he was talking, Zhou Hang had secretly set up a formation on his feet. If Yun Lintian was here, he would immediately recognize the formation Zhou Hang tried to set up right away. This formation was a heaven-level one called Six Directions Confinement. Anyone who fell into this formation would be restricted and could only move in the direction the formation master allowed them to. However, Zhou Hang didn't know that his movement was already under Qin Yuren's perception. As someone who had witnessed a powerful formation setup process from Yun Lintian, Zhou Hang's method was nothing but a joke in her eyes. Naturally, Qin Yuren didn't intend to give Zhou Hang a chance to finish his formation. She swiftly shook her hand, and two spiritual sword figures immediately appeared above her head. With a flick of her hand, the two spiritual swords promptly shot straight at Zhou Hang's head at lightning speed. Zhou Hang was slightly surprised to see Qin Yuren's spiritual sword. He didn't expect her to reach this realm at such a young age. He snorted coldly and clasped his hands together. A thick green light barrier instantly solidified in front of him in the next second. Judging from its appearance, Qi Yuren's spiritual sword might not be able to penetrate it. However, when Qin Yuren's spiritual swords were about to hit the barrier, they abruptly changed their direction. They dropped down, heading toward the ground beneath Zhou Hang's feet. More precisely, they aimed at the unfinished formation in that position. Zhou Hang's expression changed drastically and hurriedly controlled the barrier to cover the formation beneath his feet. Unfortunately, his action was late by a second. Qin Yuren's spiritual swords had already arrived at the target and mercilessly destroyed everything in that area. Boom! The explosive power instantly swept Zhou Hang away along with the unfinished formation on the ground. Followed by a violent quake and countless cracks spread crazily, Qin Yuren did not stop at that. Her figure flashed and reappeared nearby Zhou Hang, who hadn't even landed on the ground properly, and slashed at him with a sword in her hand. Puff! Zhou Hang was unable to put up a defense in time. A long, deep wound was surfaced on his chest, dragging down to his abdomen. Blood gushed out like a fountain, accompanied by Zhou Hang's miserable scream. A frown appeared on Qin Yuren's face because she had missed Zhou Hang's vital point. When she looked closely, she immediately noticed a green armor beneath his robe. It was clearly a high-level artifact, and it was a reason she couldn't finish him off. As Qin Yuren was about to make another move, a white light suddenly burst out and shrouded Zhou Hang. His figure started to fade. "Bitch, you wait for me." Zhou Hang's furious roar echoed within the forest before his entire body completely vanished from the place. Qin Yuren stared at Zhou Hang's disappearing spot for a while and put her sword away. Qin Yuren had never regarded Zhou Hang as a threat throughout the incident. How could she possibly care about his vicious words? She looked around for a moment and chose a direction to move forward. Swoosh! A white light faded, and Zhou Hang's silhouette appeared at the training ground entrance. He spat out a mouthful of blood and was grimaced in pain as he used his hand to press on the cut wound on his chest. The surrounding students were dumbfounded once again seeing Zhou Hang's appearance. First Li Na and now him. They were confused. Wasn't everyone in Wang Ju's group so arrogant earlier? How come they were beaten up and forced to leave the training ground? Those with some brains could see the situation more clearly. Obviously, Yun Lintian's group was far stronger than Wang Ju's group. Thinking they had ridiculed Yun Lintian previously, their faces grew hot in shame and felt as if they had been slapped left and right. Zhou Hang stuffed a few healing pills into his mouth and swallowed with difficulty while trying to stabilize his injuries. A few breaths later, the wound on his chest gradually stopped bleeding. He let out a sigh of relief and swept his gaze over the group of students in this area. Noticing the contemptuous look on their faces, Zhou Hang snorted coldly and walked away. The students thought Zhou Hang would leave a vicious word before leaving, counting his arrogant attitude. His silent departure left everyone surprised and did not know what to say. 10 hours passed by since Yun Lintian entered the forest maze training ground. Currently, he was walking unhurriedly on the 9th ring. From Bai Qingyi's words, the forest maze had a total of 9 rings surrounding the final destination. Starting from the 2nd ring, each ring would contain a lot of traps to either confuse the contenders or try to injure them. Naturally, not everyone had a cheat ability like Yun Lintian's Eyes of Heaven. The contenders had to rely on their perception to locate these traps and avoid them while trying to find a path leading to the next ring. It could be said this training ground was purposely made to train the contenders' perception. Over these years, not many people managed to reach the 7th ring. As for the 8th ring and 9th ring, they were even lesser, and those who cleared the forest maze were no more than 2 digits. This statistic showed how talented Jiang Yingyu was to get first place and become a record holder. What Yun Lintian had in his mind right now was neither how to clear the forest maze nor Wang Ju's whereabouts, but the origin of the energy he saw on the ground. Yun Lintian was curious about what kind of energy source to send out a steady stream of energy like this without any sign of depletion. To Yun Lintian's knowledge, he couldn't think of anything besides the profound spiritual lake he had. Don't tell me there's one here. As his curiosity grew further, Yun Lintian subconsciously hastened his steps and finally reached the endpoint of the 9th ring 20 minutes later. Similar to the previous rings, leading to the next ring was a small path between the tree walls. There was no special characteristic other than a dense aura flowing vigorously like a raging river. Yun Lintian didn't hesitate and walked through it directly. Through the tree walls, Yun Lintian arrived at an open garden with a circular-shaped stone gate that stood tall at the center of the area. Exotic flowers and a lot of magical plants could be seen everywhere in this place. However, Yun Lintian did not care about them in the slightest, as his eyes were firmly fixated on the area beneath the stone gate. Through eyes of heaven, he saw a human's head-sized green orb gently spinning while pulling profound energy toward it and releasing it on the other side. What is this? Yun Lintian racked his brain up and couldn't find any information related to this orb. One thing that he was certain, this orb wasn't a profound stone. It was more like something higher than that. Yun Lintian quickly drew closer to the stone gate and squatted down on the ground nearby, carefully observing the green orb. As if it perceived someone nearby, the green orb suddenly stopped rotating, and there was no further movement. Yun Lintian was taken aback and tried to move away from the orb. However, before he could retreat, the green orb abruptly burst into white light and formed into a human silhouette. Yun Lintian stared at the human silhouette attentively and silently utilized his profound energy, preparing to engage at any time. He could feel an extremely ancient breath coming out of it. This was similar to the time he met Yan Qi back then. A moment later, the white silhouette gradually solidified and formed into a plain-looking middle-aged man clad in white with his long black hair hung down freely. There was no distinct feature on his face. If he was placed in the crowd, no one would remember him. Even so, Yun Lintian could perceive an innate, majestic aura hiding behind his ordinary appearance. This person must be someone on Yan Qi's level, if not higher than that. The middle-aged man and Yun Lintian stared at each other for a long while before the former spoke first. "You are the one." His voice was as plain as his look, neither soft nor firm, as if he had no emotion. Yun Lintian was puzzled slightly. "What is the one? Do I look like Mr. Jet Li?" He clasped his hands together and said politely. "Greetings, senior. This junior is Yun Lintian, a newly recruited student. May I know what is senior called?" Yun Lintian. The middle-aged man didn't answer Yun Lintian but muttered in a low voice, apparently talking to himself. Yun Lintian did not say anything further and calmly waited for the middle-aged man. A while later, the middle-aged man seemed to regain his clarity. His previously vacant eyes were now brimming with vitality as he looked at Yun Lintian. "I have waited for you for a long time." The middle-aged man spoke. Compared to the earlier, his voice was livelier. Before Yun Lintian could react, he said further, "My name is Tianziu. People have known me as Lord Sky Throne." Yun Lintian was extremely shocked, staring at Tianziu dumbly. Zhu smiled faintly. "Didn't you guess it already?" Yun Lintian regained his composure and shook his head. Although Junior had guessed Senior's identity, it could not prevent Junior from shocking. He took a deep breath and asked, "Senior, this Junior wants to know if Senior is the creator of this place." Tianziu's somewhat illusory figure descended to the ground and answered with an amiable smile, "Yes. I had indeed built this place." He paused for a moment, pointing at the green orb, and asked, "Do you want to what is this, right?" Yun Lintian nodded his head. "Please enlighten me, Senior." Instead of explaining right away, Tianziu asked the question. "What do you think about Profound Sky Divine City?" Yun Lintian didn't quite understand Tianziu's purpose in this question. However, he suddenly recalled Linlin's words when they first arrived in the city. He replied, "Junior felt it isn't a human-made city, but rather an artifact, a divine rank artifact." Tianziu had an approval look on his face. "You are right. The whole city is a piece of the divine rank artifact called Ancient Sky City. When it first appeared in this world, it was accompanied by a huge rounded object later known as Divine Jade. It is similar to profound stone we know. Instead of carrying profound energy, it contained divine energy." Tianziu looked at Yun Lintian meaningfully as he asked, "Do you know how important divine energy is for the practitioners in this world?" Without waiting for Yun Lintian to reply, he continued, "When a practitioner reached the peak of the monarch profound realm, he would come into contact with divine energy. He would vaguely feel there is a higher realm above the monarch profound realm, and that realm was later discovered by a powerhouse in the past. That realm is called Divine Ascending Tribulation Realm." Yun Lintian was, once again, shocked by the new information. Divine Ascending Tribulation Realm. As a novel enthusiast, he could roughly guess the meaning of this realm. It was undoubtedly a tribulation realm before ascending into the higher world, Tianzu said further. Instead of having 10 levels like other realms, this realm has a total of 9 levels. We called it 9 tribulations. As long as you can pass all of these tribulations, you would have a chance to leave this world and ascend to divine world. Yun slowly nodded his head without a change in his expression. He thought for a moment and asked, "Then how could Senior? You want to ask why I died in the end?" Tianzu saw through Yun Lintian's mind at a glance. He shook his head with a trace of regret. "I wasn't talented enough." Disbelief was written all over Yun Lintian's face. If Lord Skythrone wasn't talented enough, then who was? Seeing Yun Lintian's expression, Tianzu said with a smile. "Behind an able man, there is always another able man. You might think my existence represents the pinnacle of this world, but in fact, there are a lot of people stronger and more talented than me. For example, the first-generation Azure Palace Master, Weilan Taiyuan. He had successfully passed all the 9 tribulations and ascended to Divine World. There is also the first and second generation of Divine Phoenix Palace Master. As for me," a self-deprecating smile appeared on Tianzu's face. "I can't even pass the 3rd tribulations." Yun Lintian did not know what to say for the time being. Several thoughts appeared in his mind at the moment. With his Beyond Heaven King's crown, everyone in Misty Cloud sect should be able to enter the Divine Ascending Tribulation. At the same time, he might be able to use the thunder to help them pass the tribulation. Wasn't this perfect? After a while, Yun Lintian asked, "Senior, do you think there are a lot of them out there right now?" Tianzu nodded. He, of course, understood Yun Lintian's worry. Naturally, however, most of them don't care much about worldly affairs. I won't say you can be at ease, but the chance of them coming out to deal with you is slim. Yun Lintian couldn't help feel heavy in his heart. This information had entirely changed his mind and increased his caution tremendously. "Let's go back to the topic," Tianzu said. "The green orb you are seeing right now is a part of the divine jade back then. I managed to get a few pieces and hide them in various places in this world. In order to keep it secret, I built these training grounds and concealed its divine energy by converting it to profound energy." "I see." Yun Lintian immediately understood. This was actually a good idea to hide it. Tianzu suddenly let out a sigh. "Unfortunately, it's still not enough to hide it from those hungry wolves." Yun Lintian's brows raised slightly hearing this. "If you have free time, you can visit my descendant. He will tell you everything you needed to know." Tianzu's figure suddenly faded slightly before stabilizing again. He took a deep look at Yun Lintian and said, "Since you have already obtained 2 relics, the sun and the thunder, I might as well tell you the locations of the rest. Take this." Following that, Tianzu pointed his finger at Yun Lintian's forehead. White light immediately shot out, drilling directly into Yun Lintian's mind. In the next moment, the locations of the other element sources quickly appeared in Yun Lintian's mind. He instantly became excited. If it wasn't because he had to go through the Frozen Moon mythical realm first, he would set off toward these locations right away. You are a person with a great destiny. Your final destination is naturally somewhere on the top. I hope you can stay true to your heart throughout the journey, Tianzu said with a serious expression. His figure began to fade as he said, "My time is up. I wish you good luck." At this moment, Yun Lintian regained his sense and hurriedly said, "Wait, how did you know?" Sadly, Tianzu was wholly disappeared from the place before he could finish his sentence. Yun Lintian stared at Tianzu's disappearing position and wanted to slap his face badly. How did he forget to ask the most critical question? How did Tianzu know about him and even say he had waited for him for a long time? Was he the same as Yan Qi? Yun Lintian was helpless. Although he knew it might be something related to that mysterious woman, he was basically clueless about her. He didn't know whether Principal Tian could give him a proper explanation regarding this matter. Looking at the fragment of divine jade on the ground, Yun Lintian hesitated briefly and decided not to take it away. After all, it was useless to him at this moment, and he also didn't want to destroy the training ground. Since there was nothing to do further, Yun Lintian began to reap all the magical plants and exotic flowers in this place before finding a corner to sit down, pondering about the information Tianzu gave him. While Yun Lintian was digesting the information, he was completely unaware. He had caused a huge commotion on the outside world the moment he stepped into the final ring. At this moment, a lot of students, including a few teachers, were gathering around the ranking stele beside the entrance. On the stele, Zhang Yingyu's name had been pushed down to the 2nd place, and Yun Lintian's name appeared in the 1st place with the record 10 hours and 42 minutes. Yun Lintian thought the record would be counted when he left the forest maze through the gate, but the fact was that it was counted the moment he arrived at the garden. Unknowingly, his name had become high profile once again. When Yun Lintian's name appeared on the top of the stele, golden light immediately shot out of it toward the sky, alarming everyone in the academy. This golden light indicated someone had broken the training grounds record. A few minutes later, more and more students and teachers came to the forest maze training ground to check out who was this record breaker. Among them was Wu Qingcheng, who paid attention to Yun Lintian's movement for all this time. When she knew Yun Lintian had entered the forest maze, she quickly opened the betting table, and now she came here to confirm the result. A satisfied grin appeared on Wu Qingcheng's face upon seeing Yun Lintian's name on the stele. This time she gained a lot. Almost every bettor had bet against Yun Lintian. They didn't believe he could break the record. Now their faces were filled with incredulity, unable to accept the fact before them. It's him, in the crowd, a tall youth clad in green staring at the stele with a serious expression. His name was Tian Ming, a prince of the Sky Fall Nation's royal clan and a direct disciple of the Violent Gale sect's sect master. Since the end of the survival test, Yun Lintian's reputation was resounded throughout the entire Divine City, and Tian Ming was looking forward to meeting him in the third test. However, Yun Lintian didn't participate in it in the end. When Tian Ming heard Wang Ju slandering Yun Lintian, he didn't believe in it in the slightest. Although he didn't know Yun Lintian's true strength, Yun Lintian was definitely a real deal, not a coward, as Wang Ju said. Now seeing Yun Lintian's name on the stele, Tian Ming was brimming with fighting spirit. He must ask Yun Lintian for a duel when he came out. He's so incredible. Standing among the crowd, Lin Rui looked at the stele with an admiring expression. Besides him, Lin Linger also had the same expression on her face. This time, Aunt Zixuan has picked up a good seedling again. Lin Rui turned to look at his sister and said, "Do you want to visit her? We haven't seen her for a long time now." Lin Linger nodded her head. Good, 10 hours. He used 10 hours to reach the end of the maze. This is not something ordinary people can achieve. He's indeed worthy of Principal Tian's praise, said an old man sitting in a small pavilion far away from the training grounds. His name was Gu Yi, the Arcane Hall Master. Opposite him were Nangong Zai and Hong Wuya. Compared to Gu Yi, both of them didn't have much reaction on their faces as Yun Lintian broke the record was within their expectation. I heard he's also a talented doctor. Is it true? Gu Yi retracted his gaze and turned to Hong Wuya. The Arcane Hall was mainly focusing on the alchemy and the art of healing. Because of this, Gu Yi was particularly interested in Yun Lintian after knowing he was the one who cured Hong Wuya's poison. I say, old Gu. Are you trying to snatch him away? Nangongs, I could see Gu Yi's intention at a glance. Do you think it's possible? Gu Yi shook his head with a smile. Even if I have 10 lives, I wouldn't dare to snatch someone from Hallmaster Lin. I'm just curious about him. As the two of you know, such a prodigy who proficient in both art of formation and healing to this extent has never appeared before, not to mention his abnormal high battle prowess. Tell me you aren't curious at all. Nangong's eye pursed her lips and turned to look at Hong Wuya. Her expression was clear as day. She wanted to know about Yun Lintian as well. Facing their gazes, Hong Wuya responded irritably. Don't look at me like that. I don't know him well. Yes, he is a skillful doctor. As for how did he practice and where is his origin, do you think he would tell me? Gu Yi was disappointed. He let out a sigh and said, Do you think Principal Tian knows about this? Nangong's eye shook her head. I guess he also doesn't know much. She paused for a moment and changed the topic by asking Hong Wuya. Right. Are you sure you want to go out again? Hong Wuya nodded firmly. Intense hatred appeared in his eyes as he said, I must kill him this time. A week ago, Han Bingling came to him and asked him to investigate Northern Sea Lord. Hong Wuya naturally accepted the task readily. After all, he had a deep grudge with the latter. If it wasn't because he wanted to stabilize his starry hall first, he would visit the northern endless sea by now. Nangong's eye went silent for a while before saying, Don't worry, I'll help you take care of Starry Hall. Hong Wuya took a deep look at Nangong's eye and said sincerely, Thank you. He wanted to say more, but he knew it was unnecessary. On the side, Gu Yi looked at the two and chose to remain silent. Outsiders might not know, but he was well aware of the sentiments between them. In the past, Nangong Zai, Hong Wuya and his wife were good friends growing up together. They went through a lot of hardships, and the bonds between them weren't something ordinary people could understand. Later, it was said both Nangong Zai and Hong Wuya's wife had fallen for Hong Wuya at the same time. In the end, Hong Wuya got together with his wife. Although polygamy was common in this world, Hong Wuya did not intend to make Nangong Zai his other wife as he felt it was half-heart by doing so. Despite being left out, Nangong Zai didn't get angry and even gave them a blessing. Their relationships didn't change much, and they remained good friends until the day Hong Wuya's wife died under the Northern Sea Lord's hand. Since then, Hong Wuya was immersed in a path of revenge, and he repeatedly rejected help from Nangong Zai. This made their relationship stiff, as if there was an invisible wall separating them. Seeing the atmosphere turned heavy for a period, Guyu finally spoke. By the way, why hasn't Yun Lintian come out yet? Shouldn't he leave the maze by now? A frown appeared on Nangongzai and Hong Wuya's faces. They glanced toward the training ground entrance and didn't see any spatial activity on the gate. What is this brat doing there? Hong Wuya said. Nangongzai shrugged her shoulders slightly. Maybe he's waiting for Wang Ju. She didn't know that her speculation was on point. Yun Lintian was currently sitting nearby the stone gate and looked around from time to time, waiting for Wang Ju to show up. However, he had forgotten that Wang Ju didn't have eyes of heaven like him. It was impossible for him to reach here this fast. How come my brain doesn't work well now? Yun Lintian patted his forehead. He then took out the transmission jade and contacted others. Brother Yun, I found Brother Yang here. He seems to overdraw his mental power. Chu Heng's voice rang out from the other side. Really? Well, at least he's still alive. Yun Lintian was relieved hearing this. Can you send him out? It's okay if you don't want to leave this place for now. However, I can't guarantee you won't meet Wang Ju's men. Before Yang Chen disappeared, he told me his opponent was powerful. Then, I will leave right away with little me. Chu Heng thought for a moment and said, to him, it didn't matter whether he could clear this maze. It didn't affect his growth much. All right, thank you, Yun Lintian responded. After exchanging the information with his group, Yun Lintian took a bed out, preparing to take a nap. He felt he had spent too much of his mental power trying to maintain eyes of heaven for all this time, and it somehow affected his thinking ability. Afterward, Yun Lintian set a few formations up and slept directly. While Yun Lintian was sleeping, Wang Ju was currently wandering around the 8th ring. He would constantly glance at an exquisite compass in his hand as he walked. This compass seemed to have the ability to perceive the direction of energy flow. This compass was personally made by his brother, Wang Jun. Because of it, he had reached this place within a short time. Found it. A while later, Wang Ju had arrived before a path toward the 9th ring. He decided to take a rest and contacted his group. However, except for Kaiksheng, he couldn't contact Zhou Hang and Li Na. It seemed both of them had already left this place. Trash, Wang Ju cursed. He didn't expect his underlings would be this weak. After calming down, he put the transmission jade away and moved through the path, officially entering the 9th ring. Compared to Yun Lintian, Wang Ju's luck was relatively bad. The moment he stepped into the 9th ring, a powerful killing trap was immediately activated. Countless sharp lights hovered in the air and shot toward him madly. A long sword instantly appeared in Wang Ju's hand. He snorted coldly and waved his sword toward the incoming attack. A red light flashed and formed a defensive barrier around Wang Ju's body. When the sharp rays touched the red barrier, they had instantly disappeared as if nothing had happened before. Wang Ju glanced at the compass and estimated the trap's source before rushing toward it. He swiftly destroyed the trap's source and looked around for a while to confirm there were no other traps here. What a pity. I didn't meet Yun Lintian here. Wang Ju was disappointed thinking of this. He came here for 2 purposes, clearing this place and killing Yun Lintian. Looked like he couldn't achieve the second purpose. Never mind. Better take the first place first. Wang Ju quickly followed in the direction the compass pointed at. An hour later, Wang Ju managed to reach the end of the 9th ring. A smirk appeared on his face as he said, hee hee. Zhang Yingyu, oh Zhang Yingyu, I'm going to break your record now. Unlike Yun Lintian, Wang Ju was well aware the record would be counted when he reached the final ring. With his current record, he could already imagine how people would react. His fame would definitely soar to heaven in one go. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Wang Ju firmly passed through the path toward the final destination. A while later, he faintly saw a spacious space at the end of the path. He couldn't help increase his pace and step into the garden. At this moment, Yun Lintian suddenly opened his eyes. He turned his head toward the direction alarm formations signaled him. When he saw Wang Ju's figure appear in the garden, the corner of his mouth curled up into an evil grin.